itself. So it says, let Caitie say whatever she wants.
And then everything else that you want to talk about.
Well, I don't think we should bury the lead because I feel like, and now this is the show now, basically.
Oh, right.
I feel like there were several moments when I was playing this game when I was like, if I'm remembering what I'm supposed to remember about Dragon Age lore, which throughout the years, it's gone up and down for me because I'm not one of the people that lives in it. I'm like, I think that just broke the fucking world. Did that break the fucking world? What the fuck? And I'm just like, I'm going to have to let Caitie explain all of this to me, but I'm pretty sure the entire lore just got flipped upside down like 3 times.
Not as much as I think people think, because like a lot of this was, at least if we're just talking. Okay, hold on. We got it real quick because people are weird about this. Weird is in like you'll click a video that says Veilguard review and then get upset that they're spoilers. Hey, they're spoilers, all right? What do you think this is? Come on now.
This is the episode. I mean, it's first of all, we're going to be approaching a month after the game came out before we do this episode. I think we did that semi-strategically, not like we ever talked about it, but just the way life goes. And this show has never been current. It's not like news. It's like we only do them so often. So
we used to be better. It's just I had a kid and you got busy at work and
yeah,
here we go.
The nature of this show is more like we'll come in not to be first, but rather to digest things slowly. And given the subject matter of the show and how long we've been doing it, we've been talking about the same games for years. So presumably we'll talk about the Veilguard for a long time. Yeah, we'll take it very slowly. But for this episode, almost a month after the game has come out, this is deep dive. It's not a review. I would say we'll probably do the official review episode later where we give it a score.
There's like, we have like 6 different review series because what else are we going to talk about for however many years we've been doing this? Where we actually have like scores in a format. And I think like this is much closer to when we have done like Anthem or Andromeda just came out and we just kind of sat there and digest it for a little bit. And like, that's what this is.
That's what this is, yeah.
Random fun fact, but for whatever reason, like I like listening to podcasts for things, but I always forget to pre-download them on my phone for when I'm going on plane rides. And the only one that's ever been downloaded, because I always forget, is our Anthem review. And so I've totally been on plane rides that are like 8 hours long going, the only thing I can listen to is our own fucking review of Anthem from like 10 years ago. and I sat there and listened to it because I don't have nothing else in my mind. That Anthem review is the only iconic episode in my mind because I have to listen to it on plane rides because I always forget to download something else.
That is hilarious.
Oh, God. Anyway.
So, I don't know if we need to preamble it any more than we just did, but it has been a long time coming. The first episode we ever did for this show was what we wanted for what we were calling Dragon Age 4. And now we're here. It doesn't feel ceremonious. It just sort of feels like now it's a video game. Now we've played it. Now we'll talk about it just like we talk about all the Bioware games. But any thoughts or feelings on that? How long it took us to get here?
I am reminded of when I was getting married and like the day of, like I'm sitting there. I'm a bundle of nerves in the back of the church. And my dad comes up to me and he says, it's going to be really weird because you're nervous right now. And it's going to feel like this big, huge moment. But when you get home tonight, you'll be like, oh, well, now what the fuck do I do? And it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. We're like, oh, that was actually not that big of a deal and like was kind of a blip in my life. And I'm going to largely forget it. Not to say that about Veilguard because I have a lot I want to say on it. But like, it's just kind of like, okay, cool. Awesome. And like, my life moves on, it kind of feels like that.
That sounds like wisdom. That sounds like a pretty good description of how we feel. All right. So we're going to dive into everything. The thing that makes the most sense and is the most obvious. And in some sense, people either already know because you posted a review video or assume. What do you think of this Dragon Age the Veilguard video game that came out that so many people are talking about?
So I do think it's flawed and it definitely has things that like bug me, but like it hit me in such a right way that I do love it. And I know that people are going to like, people have already called me shill for Bioware even before I was working with Bioware. So I'm just going to like, okay, fine. I know myself, but like it just hit me in a right way and I quite enjoy it. So I'm having a blast with it. I love it. Like there definitely is. Someone had a really good quote. I'm so sorry, I forgot to look up who it was. It was someone on my Discord, but they say, there's parts of this game that are missing that I can feel like a phantom limb, and that is so true. Like there, and like I do wish that was there, but I think for what is there, I'm really excited about it. So that's how I feel about it.
How did you feel starting the game up for the first time?
Okay, honestly, because like I've started it up like a couple times. That like which time?
Well, I mean, I guess when you're sitting down at home and it's not part of what was with the council, it's just like you playing it for you.
Yeah. So so I got a review copy. So I first played on October 15th. And for whatever reason, it just so happened to work out that my husband was actually starting a new job, so actually went into office. So I was home alone for the first time in like a long time. And we weren't sure if we were getting a review copy. Like we were like, oh, we'll try for it, but like no promises. I'm like, okay. So, there's no one home. Like, okay, I'll take a shower. And I am sitting there washing my hair, and my phone just starts buzzing off the rails, and it's Kayla and some of the other council members like, we got a fucking review copy. So I'm like, what? So I'm running out of the shower with like soap in my hair to my computer so I can pre-download this game while I finish taking a shower. And I was just like, I don't know, it was just so exciting to like sit there and play it. And then you get through Act 1, like, okay, I've played this already and I know what's going on. And so like I was just really anxious to get out of Act 1 to new stuff I haven't seen before. So like the playing it over again was like, okay, I know these beats, but like how does it end? I've been wondering how this thing ends for like
a decade.
2 years now. Yeah, well, yeah, a decade, but like at least 2 years now. So I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next? So when I finally got to that point, it was just so exciting to see all the beats and things coming together. And like I'm very easily excited. I get that. I eat things up. So like as soon as I like hit the end of the Weisshaupt quest line, I was just like no lifing this. My husband was very sweet. He's like, "Do you want me to pick up the kid?" I'm like, "No, I'll get it. Maybe." Like he didn't see me for I think I finished on the 22nd, so I don't know what time frame. Like it was about a week, where it was like if I wasn't like eating or sleeping, or like picking up our child, like I was on my computer just playing.
That's awesome.
Thing. And I don't know, I had a blast, really fond memories of it. Like it was a good time. Yeah. What about you?
When you hit credits, was it just overall satisfaction?
Happy it was, yeah, because I like again, like there's stuff I wish were there. There's stuff that I feel like is missing, and I am like searching for and like kind of even finding in some cases in the data mines. We'll talk about that later. But and like in digesting and like, but at the end, like I did feel satisfied. Like it does feel like a kind of a goodbye game, because I kind of get the sense that Bioware wasn't sure if they were going to make another one.
Yeah.
And like that was really bittersweet for me.
Yeah,
like,
I can imagine.
Oh no. Yeah, so like I think there was a lot of like mixed emotions in that, of like, oh no, is this the last one? Like, is there more? Like, I don't know.
Boy. We will talk about that eventually, I think, as well.
But yeah, so it's I don't know. And I think like, so I did have a review video come out, and like I stand by everything I said there. But like when after we didn't have to make any review videos to have a review copy, at least for us. I don't know about other content creators, but for the longest time I did not want to make one, because I knew like it was like there was going to be people that it was going to be divisive. Like I didn't really want to stand out there as a voice that was very positive about it, because like I didn't want to get yelled at, essentially. And I sat there on that feeling of like, why am I stopping talking about this in any manner? Because I'm afraid of getting yelled at. And like, that didn't sit right with me. So I ended up making one. Mm-hmm. And people are yelling at me. So like, you know what? But like, I just can't help that it did click with me. And like, some games click with you, some games don't. And that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to persuade you into liking something you don't. But it hit me in a way that was like, oh no, yeah. I love it. Oh no.
It's like the only thing worse than hating it is loving it.
Yeah, I know, because like I totally get where people are coming from, where there's parts that they don't like, and I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm sorry though, I really like it. Oh no.
I think in you saying that, I just realized, because I didn't think that I was going to relate to that statement so much, but it's 100% correct. The second worst thing I guess the worst thing that could have happened to you and I in particular, is we fucking hate the thing. And we make a podcast about these games and then we think it's awful. But the second...
That'd be kind of funny, though. Like, I would laugh, to be
honest. I mean, we reviewed Anthem. We live streamed it, and we made it entertaining as far as I'm concerned.
We did. Well, I remember being so passionate about hating Anthem. Dax hit me in a place of such hatred. I had to yell about it for like
some of the best rants that we ever had were on there, and some of the best bits, like fucking Mr. Bioware. It was a fucking ridiculous fun time, even though that game was not necessarily our cup of tea. Like, we still we suffered through it with the clown makeup on with the whole community, and it was kind of fun.
I do have at least say there was one good part in Anthem, and we all gotta love her, Faye, who was too good for this world.
For sure, 100%.
And then I did actually quite enjoy the gameplay. The gameplay loop needed work, but I thought there could have been something there. I just like flying around in my suit. Okay,
I mean, the gameplay loop, let's not lie, is kind of the DNA of that is in the Veilguard. Like three abilities and ultimate, waiting for cooldown times. Like there is something of those lessons learned that made it into the Veilguard.
I suppose. You know what? To be honest, I completely forgot that there was three abilities
and an ultimate.
I forgot about that completely.
That is there. It is the DNA of the.
You are so right. Yeah, I forgot about that completely. All I remember of Anthem is flying around and like shooty pew pews. That is the only thing that stuck.
Look, at one point the reports were that Dragon Age: The Veilguard was going to be, and I quote, Anthem with dragons.
Yes.
That was one person who said that to Jason Schreier anonymously, and I don't think anyone ever took that as anything other than hyperbole, but someone felt the need to describe it that way many iterations ago before this game changed into what it is now. So, I fucking love this game.
Wow, all right.
And I didn't think I was going to say that, if I could be totally honest with you. I was bracing for not liking it. And what I was personally kind of most concerned about, not like anyone gives too much of a crap what my opinion is, was that the faithful, if you will, were going to like it and I wasn't. I was pretty much preparing to say that because so much of what I had seen I thought was probably not going to land. And also I tend to be not pessimistic. I just like to lower my expectations. I just like to not hype myself up too much. I've tried to do that for most games that I've played. And then also, I mean, I don't play very many video games at this point, to be honest. So I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 and that was kind of the only thing I've played for the better part of a year. And so I was just like, odds are I'm probably just going to be a little bit underwhelmed or disappointed by this. But I went in with as much of an open mind as I could. And I got to say, like, it's 100% a Dragon Age game. It's 100% a Bioware game. The thing that baffles me the most is people saying it's quote unquote not a Dragon Age game. I feel like those people don't even remember what they claim to like about Dragon Age. Well, I'll get into that as we go, but like we'll
get into that later.
That is, to me, it is 100% at its core the same sort of oddly comforting and satisfactory parts of a Bioware RPG and in particular Dragon Age game. I like the companions. I like the story. They're doing some things that they've never done this well, like the set pieces, which are phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I just think like starting it up, there was skepticism, and that faded away fairly quickly. Like I don't want to say immediately, but pretty much once I was in, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm really gonna like this. And by the time I was at the midpoint of the game, I was like, yeah, I fucking love this game.
Now I want to you wrote some really nice show notes, and I'm about to like put a fork in it real quick, just because I want to.
Oh, we can jump around wherever we want.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about your playthrough. What'd you do? Who was your Rook?
Who was my Rook? Well, I think I said this before, right? Like it's going to be Grey Warden. I think my next 3 playthroughs are all just going to be Grey Warden Rook. And on that note, because I have nothing to compare it to, because I haven't done any of the other ones, like I feel so satisfied with that. Like I am that guy. Like I am. People can crucify me, but like I am the Origins bro. Like I am the guy who fucking loves Dragon Age Origins. And for this whole time, I've been like, can we be a Grey Warden again? Can we be Grey Wardens? Can the PC be a Grey Warden? Can it be about the Blight? Can there be a Blight? And holy fuck, this game delivered in my mind. Like it feels like a Grey Warden story, so much so that like I'm sure it's satisfying to be a Rook who's an Antivan Crow or any of these other backgrounds, but like this feels like a Warden and sort of Blight centric story. So like I fucking love that part of it. Davrin was the bro. Davrin was our fucking guy.
Bro.
He is bro. Like I'm not saying on this level, but in the mold of Garrus type bro. Like Davrin is fucking.
Well,
the
you
bro.
know who his writer is.
Is it? Wait, who was the writer?
The guy who wrote Garrus.
Wait, from which? Is just John Donbrow or who was?
Yeah.
It was Donbrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Donbrow is among those who are no longer at Bioware, right?
I think maybe he left. Yeah, but I don't think he was laid off. But
he was the primary writer for Davrin.
Yes.
Fucking, I did not know that, but makes sense to me. I 100% dug Davrin the most. Romanced Harding.
How was that?
Her storyline in general is fucking amazing. Like I was very satisfied with it. Like I didn't fully expect them to go that big and that far into it with Titans and everything else. And so
God, that like Titan set piece, that the dead one when you turn around and it's like in agony in the back. I loved that. That was so cool.
Phenomenal stuff that they did. So yeah, Romanced Harding got everyone to like max, I think, or pretty much near max level, hero of the Veilguard status. And I went mostly like top half of the dialogue wheel. Although I will say, I think we can actually lift the ban on the middle option. That I feel like the funny option.
Okay.
I feel like that ban has been in place since Dragon Age 2.
Really? You don't like Purple Hawk?
I thought the dialogue for Purple Hawk was so cringe, and I think if you through games like Andromeda's was awful, Dragon, I always avoid that option.
Andromeda's was I get that.
I think they're the best ones that they've had. Like I think that those also he was a little bit sarcastic, like semi-sarcastic Rook. I thought that they were very very manageable, if not downright enjoyable options. What about your Rook?
So I did a Veil Jumper mage because I wanted to be like archaeologist. I didn't mind it, but I think like for the character I want for my Rook, I think I am going to switch to a Morn Watch. I can explain that later, but like I did quite enjoy the Veil Jumpers, and like it's funny that when you're a Veil Jumper, Strife just like he fucking hates you, dude. He's like, you fucked up this mission. I can't believe you're here again. What are you doing?
Oh,
and that I found that was quite funny.
Well, the first warden's always a dick, but he's especially a dick. He's like, you're not a warden, blah blah blah. Get out of here, you fuck up. And I'm just like, I was kind of going with my warden as being like kind of a rebellious warden. So I was like, yeah, that's right, hate me.
Yeah, no, and at least like with Strife, it's kind of like he's you pissed off your uncle. He takes care of you. He'll be there for you, but you pissed him off, and he's gonna let you know it. And that was definitely that relationship. And I have been wanting to romance Emmerich since we got his short story from Tevinter Nights, because he's just so full of yearning. I had to see what that was about. And I loved it. It was such a good romance. He's so cute, and like you think you go into the romance thinking maybe he's shy, but no, this man fucks.
Holy shit. Fucking hell. You know that gif where the car is getting off the highway? Caitie was like, we could talk about the story and the lore of this game. She just did a 180 and then floored it right into Horny Town to talk about this gentle old man who apparently, and I quote, fucks.
It was so funny. No, it was. So I'm talking to the other council members who are romancing Lucanus and Bellara, who are like, as we have found out, are extremely slow burn, the both of them. So they're like, oh my god, the romances are so slow. We haven't even kissed yet. And I'm like, meanwhile, he's introduced me to his parents who are dead, but and we've kissed like 3 times. He took me on a date. He's calling me darling in the battle cries. And I'm like, oh, I'm not having this problem, guys. I'm having a great time. I know.
That is
we have adopted a skeleton son. Skill issue, guys. I'm sorry.
Skill issue. That's hilarious. Skill issue.
Yeah, so it was just really funny comparing notes, and like they're all like saying, "I just want to kiss him." Oh my god! And I'm like, yeah.
Harding is also slow burn, but it's Lace Harding from Inquisition. You know what I mean? And I liked. It's very sweet. It's very sweet. I don't think anything approaches any. There's no spice level to it, but it's a nice little romance, and that's not why I play the games. I almost sort of didn't romance anyone, but I was like, I'll just do it to just see what they have. And I was like, I'm like, good. I'm kind of happy that it's mild and just kind of like a little sweet story. And I'm like, good. I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact here as we're doing this. And now for people who are just listening to this, they have to bear with us here. What does your Rook look like? You want to send me a screenshot?
Oh, yes. Okay,
dude,
hold on. I just took a nice screenshot last night.
My boy here is
your hair, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude. When they had that option, I'm just like, dude, we're doing this. This is when he started sans beard, and then he let the beard grow out as things got a little more tough in the world.
I'm gonna have to put this on the YouTube edit, so hold on, let me.
Oh, it's going under the YouTube edit? Oh, I should pick my best screenshots then.
I like how we did not do this with Andromeda.
Yeah, because nobody gave a fuck. That character creator is oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, my girl.
Like the Inquisition character creator with its flaws, with its bad hair, with its sort of weird shiny skin. Like there was a lot of things that were off about it, but it was a pretty open-ended character creator. You could do a lot with it, right?
You could. I actually really enjoyed the Inquisition character creator. In a way, I almost kind of like... In a way, I might actually prefer it to Veilguard, because Veilguard is very powerful, but it is fiddly. It is very fiddly.
Sure, yeah.
The character creator in Veilguard is very much a skill issue. It really is. Like, if you didn't come up with something you like, baby, that's on you.
Yeah, well, then it's like, too, like, there's Inquisition, then this huge drop-off on customization in Andromeda, and then... And then it comes back to being like open-ended and actually a powerful character creator again.
Yeah, and like there's definitely like there are some like echoes of Andromeda's issues. Because like you cannot change the shape of your mouth. You cannot change the shape of your eyes. It's all dependent on what head morph you choose. But they allow you to morph in between like a bunch of different heads, and you can do a lot with them. But there are just like some features they did not capture with the head morphs. Like if you don't want like a Cupid's bow lip, you're fucked. Sorry, you gotta have one. Or like on the elves, like one thing that really bothered me is I really just wanted to make my Inquisitor's eyes a bit smaller, but you can't do that. You cannot change the size of them.
Yeah, there are some odd, but it's one of those things too. There's some odd limitations, but it's like you get gifted something. I don't want to nitpick, but things like the height slider, I was like, does this affect anything? And then I figured out it's about the preset you choose. Like some presets are just taller than others on the body type or whatever, no matter what you do with the height slider. And so I think that could have been at least communicated a little bit better. But these are minor things. Overall, I love the character creator.
Yeah, like I think like once people really figure it out, there could be a lot of really good guides. Like, okay, if you want the max height, you gotta choose this and do that and do whatever.
Yeah.
But like it is like I get why there's complaints on it, because like if you don't have the secret knowledge going into it, like it is fiddly.
This is a great character creator to me, because it's like, this to me is one of the most distinctive characters I've ever made in an RPG. I don't ever make characters to be like me. I just have an idea for a character and I go, I want to see if I can do this. Mm-hmm. And this is like to me, like a character that is one of the more distinctive looking characters I've ever made in an RPG. Mm-hmm. For any character creator. I'm like this, so I'm happy with that.
And post in the comments if you are reading or if you're watching the YouTube version, who has the better Rook.
Ooh, you're making it a competition. Yours is pretty good. She's pretty good.
Yeah, she's Rowena. What'd you name yours?
This is the dumbest thing ever, but I named him Brooker.
I like that. No, that's cute. That's cute. I like that.
So what armor is this anyway?
That's the I don't even the armor in this game is like a whole thing because I just don't like most of it, to be honest. Because it's not very. I think the armors really lean into like masculine and like gender neutral territories and not so much feminine. Like there are a couple ones, but for the most part, no. So I wasn't a fan of that. I'm excited for mods to get there. This particular armor is like the mage rook armor. I don't even know when you unlock it. It was just in my inventory at one point and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted something that was more feminine and purple, and I just never really found that. And that kind of was like,
I never would have occurred to me, but now that you say that, I can totally see that. And to your point, I'm sure mods will come in strong as time goes on.
The mods are already starting, and it's already like, oh, thank God they finally added the whatever, So I'm excited about that. Like one of the first mods I saw was like, here's all the appearances in games, so you don't have to. I don't know why this game doesn't have like a new game plus, quote unquote, where you can have all the armor appearances unlocked yet. But
Golden Nug 2.0, maybe eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the patches are still rolling out. Maybe they come up with something.
Yes,
because the Inquisition Golden Nug didn't come out to the very last patch, almost a year before, or a year after it released. So it might be a while.
Wow. Okay. This is this is great stuff. I mean, we can talk about this game, like I said, for a long time, but I realize now we're 25 minutes in. And the main thing I wanted to do somewhat at the beginning, quote unquote, of this episode is just say, okay, we waited all this time. You are a lore YouTuber, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
Just go in. What's the first thing you want to talk about as far as what happened lore wise, and just go. Like, tell us why the big stuff happened.
Okay, so I feel like I'm going to be addressing a lot of complaints I've seen, because that's where my mind is. Okay, first, let's talk about the Solas memories. If you have any complaints about the content of the Solas memory, not necessarily the after dialogue, because like some people have hit or miss for them, that's fine. This is the actual Solas memories. I'm sorry you have not been paying attention to the deep lore. All of that was set up, maybe except for like the like where the Blight origin was. And even that, I think the majority of us knew that it was Titan adjacent or related. We just didn't know how heavy it was.
Yeah, that's explicit in the Descent, isn't it?
Well, no, not the Blight being Titan related, but there is something funky going on there. Like, why does the Blight not hurt the Titan? That's why.
Right.
And like there like I saw there was one comment I saw on Reddit that just like got me so enraged. I had to like sit there and go, where someone's like, it came out of nowhere that elves used to be spirits. I'm sitting there like, literally, it didn't. Oh my God, it didn't though. I'm going to have a heart attack.
That is one of those ones where like even me, and I put myself as a low bar for someone who has played these games so much and remembers so little. I was like, that was a thing, right? Wasn't that said before? And I couldn't remember if it was a theory or if it was just said, basically.
No,
even I remembered.
It says that. Yeah. It like as soon as I read that, I had to like take a breather and like not go on Reddit that much because there were so many bad takes of like people that like, granted, I get it. People don't know these things. I don't want to be mad at them. At the same time, to say it's bad writing because you don't understand something, I am going to have like a heart attack. Like, it drives me nuts.
There are a lot of people saying that this game ruined the lore, and they 100% do not remember the fucking lore.
Well, I will give them a couple things. So the crows are completely different than what they are in Origins. And so people who are upset about that, I get it. At the same time, this is also telegraphed into Tevinter Nights 4 years ago. So now, granted, some people are saying that this game isn't gritty enough, and like there's a lot of dark things, even in Tevinter Nights, about the crows that are not reflected in Veilguard. So, like, I get that. Okay, at one point in the crows quest line, it's like, hey, this 15-year-old boy's a crow now. Isn't that heartwarming? And you're like, is it though?
Yeah.
Is it though? That's a little, I don't know about that. Like, that's a pretty valid critique about the crows. I'm not even going to defend the crows. I get it. At the same time, like, when people are like, why didn't you say anything about the crows? I'm like, because it was said 4 years ago. What do you mean? Like, I've digested this already. I'm sorry I forgot about it. Sorry, I read. Okay. And then the Blight is different, but like in a way that I think makes sense though, because like Gillen, okay, if you want to talk about things that actually get me is Ghildirthalen versus Ghildirthalen. That one.
I was right about to say. What is the? Are we going to hold strong and say Ghildirthalen, or are we just switching to Ghildirthalen?
Because it's wrong officially. It's wrong. I can't. It kills me every time. I'm gonna have to learn how to say Ghildirthalen, and I am crying inside. But like that's the one that gets me. It's stupid. I get it's stupid. Nobody fucking cares about me. But
I had that jotted down. It's not on the official show notes, but it was mentally jotted down. I go, ask Caitie, what are we doing? Because I feel like solidarity is important. We're a team. I would have stuck with you on Ghildirthalen if you had said we're sticking with it. But if we're going Ghildirthalen, we're going Ghildirthalen.
I feel like I have to go Ghildirthalen. At the same time, it feels wrong in my mouth. You know.
Correct. You know what? There are only so many. There's only so much change we can handle. It's a lot, but Ghildirthalen it is.
Yeah, but like the stuff with the Blight, like even like how it looks like there were weird blighty fleshy pods in Origins. Like that's fine. Like it's been like that for a while. And like people are like, "Oh, well, why are ghouls coming out of the ground? Isn't that whatever?" I'm like, "Well, okay, but like I guess how I read it is that like you can see that there's red lyrium in them, a part of them. So I feel like I kind of read it how like it and echoing back on how like the elves were created, where they created their bodies with lyrium. These are ghouls made with red lyrium, made flesh. This is the Blight took over the red, and like that's how I read it. So it didn't bother me because it makes sense, and they're coming out of the earth because that's where the lyrium is. Like I don't know, that works.
Yeah,
I don't hate it. And like yeah, okay, it is a little bit like people jumping off the roofs in Kirkwall to keep the battle going. Whatever, but like as far as explanations go, I think it's fine. But like the other Blight changes, I'm like, but it's I feel like it's perfectly explained with Ghildirthalen coming back and being this like mad scientist lady and like being able to twist it, which is also what happened in Inquisition with Corypheus and his demon being able to edit the call of the Blight. So like I'm not mad at it. I'm really not.
I again as the self-proclaimed Origins bro, who is very much a fan of the OG stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Darkspawn have been changing since they were created. Like the expansion pack for Dragon Age Origins fucking radically changes the Darkspawn, and the Darkspawn had just been created, one iteration ago. So like from the very beginning, they've been expanding and changing what the Darkspawn are.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like other things that people didn't like that were there was Solas was supposed to have minions or like an army. I do think Tevinter Knights tried to address that, but the problem is it's in a story that I can't even remember that well, so I feel like a little weird discussing it because I can't remember what they even said, other than like there was something about like Solas's like army, so to speak, was kind of like weird extremists that he would use from time to time, but like he had like not a lot of association with them. That's how I remember it. I'm not going to say that like with authority because for some reason that story does not stick in my mind very well. So I just really need to reread it. But Solas's motivation in Inquisition was very much told to be like all about the people. Like I did it for the people. We need to like save the elves of my time and blah blah blah. Where that wasn't really telegraphed as well in Veilguard, where it was more about like I have to uphold my oath to the past and to Mythal. And like so yeah, there's people saying, well, what happened to that? I'm like, yeah, I agree. What did happen to that? Like I could buy that like the thing that he was saying in Inquisition was really about what was about Veilguard, but like we needed just to have like a little bit of like handhold of like how like what happened, like what
right
what happened there. And I guess the problem is like I also really like the story about him upholding this oath to Mythal, and it's really about that. I like that story a lot. But at the same time, like I get why people are upset that what was set up in Inquisition wasn't exactly paid off in Veilguard. So like I don't want to like erase that viewpoint either because I also understand it. Unfortunately, I also just like what it is now. So it like I don't know, awkwardness there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other things I've seen people say that were retcon. Oh, the Chantry stuff being all elves. Honey, we've known that for decades now. It's been elves all the way down since Dragon Age 2. I don't know what you want me to say.
I feel you're 100% right. I feel like we've talked about it before, like many, many years ago, whatever, old episodes ago, but like it's all about the elves. And I think I vaguely remember some portion in some episode where we go, they're not just going to come out with Dragon Age 4 and just say it's always been about the elves, are they? And it's like, no, they kind of did.
Yeah, they already did.
I'm not surprised. I don't know. I guess I am a little surprised that they, in my opinion, made it sort of overt, especially the Chantry things, especially the.
Well, okay. Okay. You finish your point, and then I want to say a theory.
I mean, I think that people probably said to themselves, they're not really going to say Solas is the maker. And they didn't say, quote, Solas is the maker, but they stopped just short of it.
Okay, here's my theory. My little theory that one day I'll make a video on, but there's a long list of videos I need to make first. So in the Chantry, the maker creates spirits. The spirits were boring as fuck. And he said, okay, I'm going to make humans now. And then the humans start worshiping the old gods. And he goes, oh my god, I can't fucking stand you guys. And locks himself away in the Golden City. And then the Magisters came on and say, hey, we want to say hi. And he goes, fuck you. Here's the Blight. Everything's black now. Yep. And then 200 years later, Andraste's like, hey, what if you don't? And he goes, oh my god, you're beautiful. So if you agree to be my wife, then I will agree to come back if everyone starts singing the cool song. And she goes, great, I can totally do that. And then she's betrayed, she gets taken up, blah, 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 blah. That's the Chantry police. Okay, so Solas did not create spirits. He is a spirit, but he didn't create them. He did create the veil. So that's one part of the Solas is the maker theory. He never resided in the Black City, though. He locked away the Blight. And what I'm trying to say is, what if the maker is actually the souls of the Titans that were locked away in the Black City?
I mean, I buy that, sure.
And the songs that like the Titan and Lyrium are singing in songs, like what if Andraste somehow clicked with the Titan, you know, and like the song that I don't know, maybe to cure the Blight is to like sing a nice song or something. Like there's I know this sounds really stupid, but like in the meta of Dragon Age, there's a lot of singing and song and verse, and so I think it works. One day I'll cook this up better and present it better than what I'm doing now. But like I think there's actually a valid interpretation here that the maker is actually a Titan and not Solas. Like I think like Chantry beliefs are still back on; they're just different now. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think that getting into the particulars of the lore and what theories could be valid, I think there's a million different workable ways for people to do it. And I don't know, maybe I'm not remembering it correctly. I thought there was a line of dialogue in the post-Solas memory where Harding equates the construction of the Golden City, and she stops short, like she trails off on a particular sentence. And maybe I'm totally misremembering it, but like
no, it's about how it is.
Yeah, if the maker made the Golden City, but we're saying that there's an equivalency between Arlathan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the gold, then ... She's sort of implying that it's Solas.
Mm-hmm.
That to me felt and this is a minor complaint overall, but that to me felt a little clumsy compared to either A, from the lore standpoint, things that you're laying out, which sound a little more robust, but moreover, I think tonally and thematically, the world does better if you don't come within 1,000 yards of trying to answer that question. Mm-hmm. Because the problems, quote unquote problems, politically, thematically, emotionally, for characters and what their motivations are, the world just works better if you have a monolithic religion that can't be disproved. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to be a commentary on anything. It just allows you to do so many other things based on like competing moral structures in your world.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I like it better when they don't try to answer it, but at the same time, I was like, oh, that's huge. Like, okay, cool. Damn, we went here with the Veilguard. Right on.
Well, it's even like here's the thing, like you can actually see the Black City from the crossroads. Real quick note, that's a whole thing that I'm not even going to get into because I don't know why the fuck it's in the crossroads and it is bothering me. We're moving on. But when you look at it, it is so clearly elven in the architecture.
Oh wow!
It like you see like the Evanuris heads and like different like okay yeah you're like there that is an elven city floating in the sky, like that just is what it is.
Yeah,
you know, like there's no beating around the bush. So yeah, I feel like the game is trying to tell you that the Black City is Arlathan, that Solas locked away with the rest of the Blight.
Right.
There's a other thing I want to go to. Oh, another thing that like people are saying is retcon, and I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. Now, granted, I have not. So there's like you choose a city, and I chose Treviso. I don't know what you did.
I also chose Treviso.
Yeah, so I have not played the Minrathous route. I am in the middle of one where I'm about to do Minrathous, but like that hasn't happened yet. And people are complaining that there's a lot of like sanding over the gritty parts of like slavery and like Minrathous, and like you are working towards getting rid of slavery in Minrathous, but you don't actually see that. Like you don't actually see like the evils of that and like
Right.
the consequences of that, and like they wish they really could. And yeah, I have not played it for myself. I cannot say, but like I like if that is true, then yeah, I would agree with that. So
I think, and this is a weird topic to jump off on, but there's no better time for me to jump off onto it.
okay.
I think I sent you the codex entry that drew my attention that is meant to be
Yes.
a letter from Dorian.
Yes.
People can go back in this podcast many years ago when I railed on the idea that there's a conversation in Inquisition where Dorian's like, no, 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 it's very kind slavery in Minrathous. And I was just like, bullshit. But I mean, I get it from a character standpoint. I
Yeah.
guess it's interesting that he is from a completely different culture. At that point, Tevinter is still seen as this far off place that the player's never been in any of the games. And he's challenging your sort of blanket assumptions about why the South judges Tevinter. Okay, fair enough, but I'm like, still bullshit. I don't buy this character's reframing of it's better to be a slave than a poor non-slave or whatever. And then, of course, they seem to walk that back with this letter from Dorian where he says, I can't believe I ever supported that. Of course, I'm all in favor of getting rid of this. I think BioWare has been very good about acknowledging some of the things that they wrote that maybe seemed tenable in 2009 for Dragon Age Origins. And now they go, oh, that is not tenable anymore. We thought it was just this morally gray thing in our fantasy world that makes it dark fantasy. Now we see probably we just shouldn't even go near that stuff. I honestly think this fits in that category from 2014.
Yeah.
Like it's no foul. There's not a hint of anything intentionally bad about it. They just thought it was the sort of color that makes a foreign nation more creates a contrast with Tevinter in the South. Now I think there's not a good way to touch that subject matter anymore for this audience.
I also think like seeing how much was cut from the game and like how much like things they needed to do to like even just get the story to make sense. I feel like maybe one of the reasons a lot of that stuff was sanded down because there was probably a conversation of we want to address this. This is a really good thing to talk about. But in making a fun little fantasy game, we would have to cut out a lot of the nuances for budget. And if like we can't have any nuance, then like what are we fucking doing? Like that's how I
Yeah.
imagine the conversation went. Of like we cannot talk about this with the respect and time it deserves, so we need to just cut it. And that's how
Yeah.
I kind of take it. Granted, have not played it, I don't know, but like I feel like that's probably what happened.
I think you're right. And I think that's probably the right decision. They would have to spend a lot of time making sure that they don't, as you put it, kind of go over it too quickly.
Yeah, and like at the same time, like people say, like I really wish like it feels more empty and like it doesn't feel right like to do all this. Like I get that, I agree with that too. But like I also get from their business standpoint, like that they just can't have a half-ass slavery plot like that,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
or even more than what it already is. You know, like you can't do that.
Yeah. I know. I think that's one of those, like,
So
although I think we both love the game, people will hear
mhm.
us talk about the valid criticisms. There's a
Yeah.
whole mountain of just whiny people making stupid points that are,
Oh
it's
yeah.
in my opinion, but there are also valid criticisms.
Hmm.
Maybe the lack of that storyline being there in Minrathous is one of the valid criticisms, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. And like I do think the game doesn't have enough teeth sometimes where I wish you could be sharper and harder. But like again, I think that was there, at least from my side, knowing a couple of insider things, there was a very early version of this game that was trying to be much more lighter and in their words campy that we weren't fans of. And I think because things shifted, that's like an echo of that. And I really do feel like the very first trailer, which is very, very old, the companion trailer, like the announcement trailer, that's very old. It uses old character models. Like Emmerich looks completely different. A lot of the other companions do. I think that was the original direction, that feel that you get from that was the original direction Veilguard was. And then everything after is like what it turned into and what it is. And I think like why there's that disconnect, like because at one point that's what the game was.
Right.
And I think like something pivoted. I don't even know what. Maybe it was us. Maybe it was somebody else. I generally don't know. But something pivoted, and that's why there is like that weird echo thing. And this one of the complaints I have about the storyline in general. It feels like there was a story. Think of it as a pane of glass, and it looks good. It's solid, and then something happened, and they go, "Oh fuck," and they shatter it, and they have to pick up the pieces to create something else. And so like there's this connective tissue that's missing sometimes of like, wait, what happened to that? Where is this? What does this mean? What are you talking about? And there was a lot of that. And like there like it's when you're just sitting there playing, you're having fun, you don't think about it and it's fine. But if you sit there and think about the little details, like I love to do and a lot of people like to do, you have a lot of questions. And there's a lot of questions I still have. Like what how did Solas heal the dagger? What happened to that? I genuinely don't know. You know, we know Varric was dead the entire time. How did so how it's described to work is that Rook is talking to their memory of Varric. So this version of Varric does not know anything that Rook doesn't know. How does this dead Varric know that the idol is the dagger?
You're exactly right. I mean, there's those things are going to come up.
Yeah, but at like, here's the thing. I love like. Unfortunately, I am very forgiving for media that is a little bit funky and makes me feel a story like Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks makes no goddamn sense. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And like it's just a bunch of crazy visuals that pretend that they're cooler than they actually are. And I love The Fountain. And The Fountain is my favorite movie in the whole wide world. And you sit there and ask me what the hell happened, I go, girl, it's about losing your spouse and it's sad. And there's like this stuff with the like the Spanish Inquisition and conquistadors and stuff, but like don't fucking worry about it because like you're just there for the ride, baby. So like when people ask me like, Caitie, aren't you bothered? I'm like, no, because I was having a great time. Like, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. Like, if the story makes me feel something, like I'm totally down. I will think about it later. And like now that I'm in the think about state, like, oh yeah, I wish I could know these things. But now it's also room for me to like sit there and be like, okay, why is the Black City in the Crossroads, and why is it not in the bubble of reality or whatever in the lighthouse? And like I feel like I have a good enough explanation for myself of why you can't see it in the lighthouse. I'm still working on the Crossroads, and like I don't know, I feel like there's a puzzle there now that I'm going to enjoy working on for the next couple years. But like I understand other people don't like that, so I don't know. And I get sorry, I get so defensive about this because like people like keep saying like, oh, you're supposed to be the lore person, why don't you fucking hate this? I'm like, I don't know because I don't like what do you I'm sorry. I know I keep repeating this over and over again, but it's like getting to me.
First of all, The Fountain's a great movie, by the way.
Yes. Sorry.
I mean, to me, The Fountain is what it's about: connection and love that seems to transcend time, space, and even death. Right? Like it's about how you feel at the end if you were paying attention to the emotions rather than the plot.
Yeah.
To me, that's a movie that's a great example of that, and I think that is often why people tell stories, right? Like oftentimes the chief aim of a story is not to construct a series of events, aka a plot, that neatly fit together. It's to make people feel something that has relevance outside of just the story. That's theme and sort of the purpose of why you're telling the story. And I think a lot of people care about that more than they care about plot. The cinema sins sort of format of like make a ding noise every time you find a plot hole is fun if you want to play that game, but that's not necessarily the best form of criticism you can do.
Yeah.
People get very hung up on that. To me, it's like, am I resonating with sort of why they're telling the story?
And it just like the story of Veilguard really resonated me and just like where I am right now. And so like the story of like loss and like, getting over that and like the regret, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I thought that they had very strong clarity on like the regret theme, like
Yeah.
across the board with all the different companions with Solas. I feel like there was much better synergy, I guess you could say, between Rook and Solas than perhaps protagonist and antagonist has ever had in past games. So like I was very satisfied with that.
Yeah, and like like I do wish like they could have gone harder with like Rook fucking up more. Like in the regret prison, like, yeah, why not talk about Weisshaupt? And sorry, this is also like I looked at the art book, and like an original version of the regret prison had Rook walking through more of their fuck ups. Like,
Mm-hmm.
look at what went wrong at Weisshaupt. You're partly responsible for that. Look what happened for this and that. You're partly like, look, like you released the gods and created all of this. There might have been less destruction if you had just let Solas do what he wanted. Isn't that something? Like, I kind of wish the regret prison kind of walked in more into that, because
Yeah.
that was definitely an idea that for some reason they just didn't do. But yeah, I don't know. I do wish they went a little bit harder on that.
Hey, so
But
what about the art book? You mentioned that very quickly. Did
oh
anything big come out of that people were
yeah,
anticipating?
God. So the art books. The art book is divided into like 3 sections. There's a little bit of like what they made right after Inquisition to kind of like firm up some of the details of the world, which that's what everyone's losing their minds off. And then they have what Joplin was supposed to be, and it's like, and just it's a completely different. It's a completely different story. Like it's it's nothing like Veilguard. And then they have the Veilguard artwork. And I guess what a lot of confusion is, like, there's a lot of cool stuff about what Joplin could have been. But like at one point, like the design idea was going to be like you had a submarine that Isabella had bought secondhand, because why the fuck not? And that was your hub. You were just gonna like float around on like this, and like that's what you were going to do, and it was like this underwater story, and like some of the characters carried over, but not all of them. Like I think Davrin was there, and Taash was there, and like
Wild.
Nev was actually Calpurnia,
Wild.
and there's like some other stuff like that. And then like I guess what people are asking, like, why is the story different? Like, what happened there? And like I genuinely don't know. I wish I could tell you like why is Joplin's story 100% different than Veilguard, but I don't know. Like
Was
Solas is free
Joplin's
and running around, and there was this whole tidbit. He had a standing army. Then like there was a fail state where Solas did complete the ritual.
holy shit, that
So
actually sounds kind of awesome.
yeah, no, there's a lot of cool things there, but like whatever reason, like it didn't work. And again, like if this was Anthem with dragons, like what would have actually looked like? You don't know.
Yeah, we've had so many iterations now. If I'm remembering, was Joplin the initial iteration of
It
it
was.
as a single player game under Laidlaw?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was that. I think it was the multiplayer version.
It was the
I don't.
multiplayer version. Okay, gotcha.
I think though, like there's a bunch of eternal differences that I genuinely do not know. So that's just my understanding of it. Now,
Right.
one thing I do want to touch upon is the post Inquisition artwork, because what they had done is that they made something called the Black Codex, which is an internal document that was illustrated, and you see in the art book, of the genesis of Thedas, which is fucking incredible. I love it. Like you see there's images of like Solas sundering the Titans, and like the spirits flying around, and like the early Dorbs, and it's only like 2 or 3 pages, but like I love it. I'm eating it up. It was wonderful. So and like that kind of like there was some like with the Solas murals, I had like some questions like what does this kind of look like, and I feel like they were answered from this art book. So again, one day I'll do a video on it. But if you have questions, like the art book actually does like a lot of like fill in some spaces that I think like
Yeah.
fell through the cracks.
That's really wild. Does it have accompanying text? Like, does it say anything about the first dwarves?
Yeah, some of them like they said like here I could pull it out. Give me a second. It's right here.
Caitie's running to get her dragon ace. She's like, oh, can we talk
No,
about the
it's
giants?
yeah. Well, no, here's the thing. It is like literally within arm's reach. I just had to bend over. Let's see. Because I got the deluxe edition. Which, yeah, by the way, Bioware's been very nice to give me a lot of things. I bought this with my own money. This was all me, baby. All right, what page was... Here it is. Okay, hold on. I'm at the end of the section. I want to go to the first one. The spirits saw the dwarves as they tended to the Titans, and they wanted to try making bodies for themselves. The spirits made physical bodies for themselves from the flesh of the Titans. The first elves were born, and the first war began. A brutal war raged on between the elves and the Titans, only ending when one elf, Solas, rendered the Titans tranquil, capturing their souls. And then it, kind of just goes on from there. With the Titans rendered tranquil, dwarves lost their connection to the magic. They fled into the bodies of their fallen hosts. With some cool pictures.
Crazy.
Yeah, no, and like it's just like 2 or 3 pages of just like all this concept art of like what the fuck kind of happened and like what was going on, and then just I don't know, seeing like which gods were responsible for the blight, which at a glance looks like definitely
Solas.
Gillinan and Elgar'nan, and like there's one in the back. I have no idea who the hell it is from the head shape. I don't know, but anyway. So yeah, it's fun, great time. Get the art book.
I mean, doesn't Solas bear responsibility? Isn't that also?
Oh no, he does. He does. They all kind of do.
Yeah, there's a great line in the in game where I had Harding with me. It's the brief section where which by the way is so fucking badass when Solas is walking with your party, and I'm like, is he just? I almost thought he was gonna like join the party, but he is basically, and he's fucking tearing shit up. But in between fights, I had Harding with me. Did you have Harding with you?
No, I accidentally let her die.
Oh, okay. We will talk about that.
Yeah.
We will talk about that.
Yeah.
But he's walking with us, and he goes, Hardy, and I just want to tell you that I'm sorry. And she's like, for what? For tearing something with the Titans and doing this to my people, to abandoning the Inquisition, for creating the Blight. She just lets him have it. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, she's so right.
And then he just like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, that.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
Oopsies.
Sorry.
Okay, so and not to like just take us off of the art book, but you were talking about that stuff, like what happened with the Blight, the Titans, and all that different stuff. And we're basically into talking about the main story. We have talked about the main story, etc. But
yeah,
Solas is. Here's a hot topic. Here's a hot take. Solas really is a giant piece of shit, isn't he? Though, like I understand. There's people who love him and Slovelin and all this different stuff, but like, I'm like this guy fucking sucks, man.
See, here's the first hot topic. I kissed the man. We're into this.
Look,
that's
sure.
Pookie. That's Pookie.
I have a hotter take. I have a hotter take than Solas is an asshole. Which Which, by the way, Solas, like the guy who is basically like your friend, is essentially the lens through I look through it as. Like that guy who's standing on that snow patch in Haven, in the beginning of Inquisition. Like I fucking like that guy so much. Like that guy just seems like such a cool guy, and he's not some elven god fella. He's just trying to help right something that's wrong. That dude I like. The crazy, like I'm the only one who can save the world, and I'm giving myself permission to do literally anything. I go, fuck this guy.
That's fair. All right.
But beyond that, the hotter take is that Loghain is not nearly as bad as Solas, and yet Loghain is constantly deemed like the irredeemable antagonist of the Dragon Age franchise, and yet Solas has done 5 times worse than Loghain, and yet everyone will be like, Loghain has to die, you can't redeem him. But fucking this bald elf, we're gonna save him.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's probably a large percent of that of one's hot and one's not. Like, that is definitely going into that decision. And then also going into the decision of like, well, I can't save Loghain because then Alistair's going to get pissy. I can't do that. So like, there's an element of that. But like, I don't know. I think Loghain's mostly redeemable. He's done some shitty things too. But like were I not generally a Alistair romancer, I'd put him in the Wardens. That sounds valid. Go for it.
That's just something that I was thinking about as I replay Origins and also reread Stolen Throne. I'm just like, what an interesting figure as an antagonist, and yet never receives any of the like the desire to see him redeemed broadly as someone like Solas.
There is definitely a hardcore Loghain fangirls and stuff, and like I'm looking at you girlies, I see you. You're valid. Kisses. But yeah.
I mean, I think you've already told people what you did with Solas.
We had the Sovereign ending. He's off in debauchery prison with his wife. We're having a great time. Hey, you fucked up the world. Here's a lady. Go kiss her. Have a good day. I don't give a fuck. It was a great ending. 10 out of 10. I love it. Can't stop. The ending slide of them hugging is a load-bearing image of my sanity.
I gotta say, I think that honestly, I am happy that exists. No matter what I think about Solas, one of the other, in my opinion, mostly hollow criticisms is the your choices don't matter criticism. I get that there are degrees of that across RPGs, and in some games, even other Dragon Age games, they might matter more than they don't. But to me, choices do fucking matter in this game, like quite tangibly so. And I think that the ending and what you can decide to do with Solas, case in point, I tricked his ass and locked him in the Fade. Or locked him in wherever he's being locked when you do the dagger switcheroo, which I thought was I thought they did it just well enough, because when you're planning it, I'm just like, this isn't gonna fucking work. Like, how are we gonna do a switcheroo on the daggers? It's very convenient that somehow there's this perfect replica of it that was made.
Yeah, if they set up the dagger just a little bit better, I actually like the trick ending as a concept, but it needed like a little bit more setup of where the hell this dagger came from, why they made it in the first place,
right?
And then like a better plan of like, I kind of wish like they had a okay, let's have two ideas to trick Solas. We go in with one, and it's very obviously a terrible idea, but we're actually doing a bait and switch. And so it's kind of like this layered trick. And I feel like that would have been like a little bit more clever. Whereas I feel like where it is now, it's like Taash is like, we're really going to bait and switch to Dread Wolf. You're like, we are. And then it works.
I'm 100% with you. What I like is the idea that the trickster gets tricked, right? In particular, like my Rook being a rogue, being a little bit snarky and sarcastic. Like, it just felt really satisfying to do that to smug Solas. So I kind of loved that as an option. But the logistics of it are a little flimsy. And as far as like the first time you see the fake dagger is the first time it's ever been mentioned.
Yeah, I know. They pull it out. I'm like, what the fuck? I was gone for a month, and this is what you do, you crips?
It was really just like, he just pulled it out from behind his back, and I'm like, huh.
Okay.
Talk about smudging the plot. It's just like, we're going to do this now. I'm like, okay.
Like, okay, all right.
It was kind of funny to just see it. The payoff of seeing him get mad and basically be like, well played.
Yeah, I will say, like, there's some people like, oh, it's out of character to fall for Solas to fall for a beta switch. Like, this is also the same guy that like totally fell for lizards in the bedroll with Sarah. Like, I could buy that he'd fall for a bait and switch. Like, I don't know.
He doesn't exactly have a spotless track record on his machinations either, right?
No.
Like, he's done some things that he didn't intend to, like take away elven immortality.
Yeah, no, like half of his things don't work. He's a trickster god that kind of sucks. Like, that's kind of the funny thing about it.
That's what I like the most about it, is that for all of his power, which he certainly has, and all of his arrogance, and the fact that he is this major player, he is kind of like, not the fuck up elven god, but kind of he is.
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's kind of I like that thematically, that's an option to trick him. Even if it is a goofy plot execution, I still kind of enjoyed it.
It definitely could have been more solid, but like, I think there's an idea there that like if it cooked us a little bit longer, it could have been a lot better. But I guess let's talk about the villains. You want to talk about the villains?
I think that they're a hell of a lot more present than they have been like in the last game. I feel like that was just criticism that was heard and then completely responded to.
That was also, not to toot our own horn, but when we playing Act 1, there's at one point we're like, where the gods are released? Where the hell are they? Like, they feel like nothing's happening, and like they added like a lot of like the gods to like Demetas is a recent addition.
Oh, wow.
So like, I say recent as in like, from the alpha. But like, yeah, no, I think they did a good job of like, they're there, they're doing weird things in the background, and I love Gillinan and Elgar'nan. They're so great. I love I was not expecting them to have like a familial dynamic like they do. I loved that. Like Elgar'nan like genuinely being upset when she dies. And
Yeah.
like they like I loved that. That was so good. And like when you read the codex entries, I don't know if you did any of that, but he writes her a letter that's like, hey, or well, it's actually from Gillian's perspective where she's like writing him like, hey, you told me to like mourn for Andrul, but she's gone. Like I'm upset about it too, but like we got to fix this world and then we can sit there and mourn. But I'm at least glad that she's remembered as the great huntress she was. And it's like she's opening up to him, and like there is this like relationship there that like goes back centuries and like millennia. And like I don't know, that was a really fun thing to like, they actually cared for each other. I loved seeing that. Like seeing like their humanity and like at the end where he's just like so enraged and he like doesn't even give a fuck anymore if he's being controlled by the Blight. He just wants to avenge everything. He's just so fucking pissed. I loved that. That was great.
Right. I like, and to some people this might sound like I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth, but I'm going to try and thread this effectively. Like, because it's fantasy and all of this stuff about religion and gods is really just a structure for you to tell interesting stories. You have a couple of paths you can do. And if I can do a comparison with, say, Pillars of Eternity, massive spoilers for that, for anyone who's ever, I'm going to spoil the biggest fucking thing that's in there, is you learn at the end of that game that, like, quote unquote, the gods aren't real. They're just sort of like powerful people who sort of long ago put themselves up as a very Evanurus-like type of deal. And that can be interesting to tell that type of story in your fantasy world, but you do lose the sort of stubborn thing that you can't disprove that drives people and gives them motivations. What I like about Dragon Age is that they kind of found a way to do both, and they kind of have been doing both with the sort of Chantry, like the Maker religion, and then the Evanurus and the Elven gods. Now, with this game, I guess kind of they didn't. They did one or the other, but long way of saying I like seeing Gillinan and Elgar'nan be like brought down and sort of having petty aspects to them, seeing their anger, seeing their care for one another, seeing them get frustrated with your attempts to thwart them. To me, that felt really cool. Yeah. And then also, like, at several points in the story, it felt kind of like daunting and almost hopeless to try and fight them. Like Weisshaupt in particular.
Yes.
Was a great example of like, holy crap, like it's one thing to say you're quote unquote fighting the gods, but they really make you feel like nothing we fucking do is going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Weisshaupt was great.
It's one of the best fucking missions ever in a Dragon Age game. Like I texted one of my friends who is a huge Bioware fan. He's played through all Mass Effect Dragon Age games multiple times like I have. And I go, this is some of the best Dragon Age shit we've ever seen. Ever. It's probably, it's hard to say my favorite mission in the game because the whole ending is kind of like one long mission, basically.
Yeah, it is.
But other than the ending, Weisshaupt probably takes the cake for me. I thought it was, as a Grey Warden person, I just thought it was fucking phenomenal.
Now, we talked about like really cool set pieces. What was your favorite set piece?
It's got to be that. It's got to be Weisshaupt. Like seeing her face in the clouds. I just walking through the door going like, holy crap. And like being at Weisshaupt and seeing how fucked up it is and how desperate it is. I thought they did a great job with the Blight. I don't like their stupid fucking eyeballs. I can get over that. Like I think the eyeballs look stupid. And I don't think the ogres look as good as they did.
No, their weird jaw is a little much.
I don't like how that looks. But other than that, I thought that the Blight felt scary. I thought it felt twisted and fucked up. I thought it felt like this sort of never-ending thing that you just can't get rid of. And I felt like they did more justice to the Wardens in this game, maybe than they have since Origins. So I loved that message in Weisshaupt. And when you're fighting the Archdemon, and then there's like the second head, and when the second head comes out, I go, I know there's going to be a fucking third head. Nobody in the history of multiple heads has ever done just two heads. If you're doing two heads, you're doing three heads, boys. Like, I know there's a third head, and sure enough, that third fucking head came out.
Well, I love Razikale now. Like Solas, you talking to Solas for everything, and he's like, "Oh, girl, you ain't prepared for what this bitch has done to Razikale. You don't even know. It is disgusting and beyond morals." And you're like, "Oh, what does that mean?" And then, like, the dragon melts into a puddle and then reforms into this Hydra. You're like, "Oh, that's what you mean." Oh, okay, cool. But like one thing I don't, it's really hard to notice. But like since I've been dating mining a little bit, what's really cool about Razikale, if you look at her eyes, the dragon's eyes in like the dragon form, not like the Hydra form, it has the eyes of like a cuttlefish where the pupil is like a squiggle line, and it's really cool. It's such a fun little detail. Instead of a regular dragon's like cat eye, it's like this weird, like, because she has a lot of like sea monster visuals with Loghain, that it's this little cuttlefish thing of like, oh, there's a little weird here. That's not quite right. I don't know if you can really see it as well, or or if you're really looking at it, because I think the eyes glow a bit, and that kind of like covers it. But like, you look for it next time. It's really cool.
That actually is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Razikale is a Reaper confirmed.
That's what people say. Now my favorite set piece is, I feel like it's less visual, but like me, I was like sitting there on the edge of my seat. I was having a blast when you have Solas and Elgar'nan arguing in your head. I loved that. That might be my favorite mission of like you're fighting and like the everything's getting muted and you just hear these two gods being bitchy at each other, and like it's like I loved it so much. It was so good. I don't know why I loved it, but like just hearing because I'm a little bit of a simp, I'm sorry, but just seeing him be like just so bitchy to Elgar'nan, and like there's this history there of like them taking pot shots, and like there's this also desperate of like, I really hope that Solas can piss this guy off enough because I need to get out of here. Oh my god! And like it's really cool set piece, and I loved that. I love that so much, and like I know it's like maybe one of the less visually interesting ones, but like that was my favorite mission of the game by far.
I think it is a very interesting mission, and I as much as I talk shit about Solas, probably now more than ever, I do love his character because he's such an interesting character, no matter how much you like him or don't like him.
Can we also just have a moment of like appreciation for his voice actor, Garrett David Lloyd? Knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely outstanding. And I know there was talk at one point, right, where he was like, "Can I even remember what the heck this voice was?"
He did great.
He did phenomenal. He is so fucking talented, and he nailed it.
He did. Like, so good. I love his I'm almost sad we don't get to see more Solas because I don't get to hear this guy talk more often. Like, I just need to start watching Torch, whatever the fuck he's in. Like, I don't even care about Doctor Who. I just want to see more of that
guy. He's goddamn outstanding. I also loved the Elgar'nan Solas exchange. I love how at one point you can be like, "You're just like Elgar'nan," and he really does not like that. Like, he fucking does not like that because he hates that guy.
Yeah, but he's also like, fuck you, I know, but like, come on. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I know.
I love it. I could talk about that dynamic all day long because like he hates Elgar'nan, but like what is that thing about like the thing you dislike the most in others is the part of yourself you don't like, sort of a deal?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't like Elgar'nan, but in a way he wishes he was Elgar'nan, but he would be better than Elgar'nan.
And in the ending where you punch his lights out, he becomes Elgar'nan. I don't know if you've seen that ending or not.
Oh, is that the fight Solas one?
Yeah, if you fight Solas, you punch him and there's like a little scuffle, and then you stab him in the ribs with the dagger and like shove him back off in the Fade, and he yells, "How dare you, I am a god!" before he like gets swallowed up.
Excellent. Next playthrough.
Which I would say, like, there's people like saying like, "Oh, that's not Solas's character." I'm like, no, that is absolutely his character. Like, this is you are choosing your ending on where Solas is on this path of redemption, and that's the bad ending for him. That he becomes Elgar'nan. That is his evil end. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he isn't it. He like it's just such an interesting setup. And again, I know others have different, more positive opinions of him, but like I'm fascinated with him as a flawed figure, as someone who both genuinely does want to do good, but who has a hero complex. And in my opinion, his problem is he's not the guy he thinks he is.
Yeah.
He's not the savior, but he's determined to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a good character, honestly.
Yes. Big kiss. So that one's stitching him up and is having a great time in Fade.
I did have only one Inquisitor who romanced Solas. Mm-hmm. So when I guess you're not importing, but I guess when I decide to do that Inquisitor, I should really do take that opportunity to save him, but there's a part of me that wants to see what happens if you have...
Llywelyn only comes up if you do the redeem ending. She doesn't come up on other times.
Really? So there's there's no heartbreak?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, well then I'm actually glad I know that now, so that way I don't waste that.
Yeah.
since it doesn't come up. Okay, good to know.
Which, you wouldn't know this because you didn't play Llewellyn. So Llewellyn goes with him to the Fade prison. That's their ending. I don't know if you know this, but there's like Llewellyn sits down with you and has a heart to heart. I think this happens with all of the Inquisitors to some extent. But she's like, yeah, okay, so Solas talks in like this cadence. It's like a sing-song cadence when the way it's written. And when Llewellyn talks about Solas, she goes into that too. And it's really cute.
Oh, what a detail. That's
I
so
know.
cool.
And also the gods talked in this sing-songy stuff too as well. But anyway, point is that she goes on about like, like I love this guy for so long, like I don't know if what I'm doing is right or whatever. Like I'm giving a very bad paraphrase. And then you actually have as a player the ability to say like, girl, you need to move on from him versus maybe you should try to get back together with him to like go through the ending of where she actually goes with him or not. So like the game does give you the choice of like and like when you look back on it, there's at one point like Rook says like, man, it sounds like you want to go into the regret prison with him. And she's like, I don't know, maybe. Like I might want to actually, like kind of like almost foreshadowing the ending of like, yeah, no, she totally would, but like you're kind of giving her permission to do that of like
I fucking
validating her
love that.
feelings.
That's fucking awesome. Like the beauty of fiction is I can approve of and have interest in so many things that I think are dumb if it was quote unquote real life.
Yes.
But like it's the same reason why I play evil characters in video games because it's like I don't want to do this, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I love Solas romance. It is still my favorite romance in Dragon Age series. Where I in Thedas, would I romance Solas? God no. Nuh-uh.
Video games are where we can live out the toxic behavior we wouldn't do in real life.
Exactly.
That is actually really awesome. That the conversation with Trevelyan Inquisitor is more just like because mine vowed to stop him, and it is definitely the tone of like we're gonna stop him, right? He's an egomaniac, and Rook's like, yeah, we're gonna take him out. Don't worry.
Llewellyn's sitting there like, my husband. I just say husband so much, Rook. Oh my god. And I'm like, girl, it's so right. We're gonna get through this together.
How do you feel about how much the Inquisitor is in? Did you like it? Do you feel it should have been less, more?
I love my Inquisitor. I love her so much. So like I would always wish for more, honestly. But for what it is, I'm not mad at it. You know, I do wish she had a little bit more to do at the end. Like, someone was saying like, what if the Inquisitor was switched out for Bellara or Nev at the end, where they were the ones controlling the Blight?
Don't even tell me that.
That would have slapped. That would have been great. But at the same time, like, yeah, but I don't know. I wish they had more to do, but like I honestly not mad at what it is. So, which I think is like my thoughts on Veilguard as a whole. Like I wish there was more, but I'm not mad at what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Like it's not enough to rise to the point of being like I want to complain about this. Mm-hmm. But if someone asked me, it's like, well, it does feel like they were almost thinking about it. Like they almost thought about like having the Inquisitor take the field, so to speak, maybe like get involved a little bit more in some of the action. Right towards the end there, when they kick a door down, you're like, is this where we get to see the Inquisitor fuck some shit up? Kind of like how Solas does.
Yeah.
At one point, even that little brief sequence would have made sense to me. But I understand it's hard, and then you have to, talk about what class they were and all this different stuff. So,
well, that's actually... So we've been data mining. We did find an entry that's unused where you would have been able to put in your Inquisitor's class. Don't know what happened there, but whoops.
There's a lot there, right? Because it's like, would they have just done class? Do you need to put in a subclass? Would it have mattered? Mm-hmm. Inquisitions, subclasses versus this game's, all that different stuff could have been weird.
I get why they didn't do it. Like it's a lot, and like there's oh god. Do we want to just get into the data mining thing real quick?
Yeah, wherever you want to go. Yeah.
So we found evidence of so what we're sitting on is just like this huge text file that has like everything that's written in the game, like codexes, dialogue, whatever. But for whatever reason, it has some temp dialogue and some like outlines of things that could have been. I don't know why it's in there. I don't know what it's doing there. But one of it is detailing an epilogue that could have been. where the world would have been explorable and it would have gone more into the Executors. I don't even know if you got the secret ending. Did you get the secret ending?
I did get the secret ending. My face right now is like shocked face because I don't want to interrupt you, but like I thought there needed to kind of be a little bit of an epilogue. But continue, please.
Yeah, no, and like you would actually try to go search. Well, I don't know how hard into the searching. There was just some language that suggested that maybe you should try to go look for Davrin or Harding, whoever died, and see what you could find. A body. There was something about like a funeral. I don't know. There was also like a line of dialogue of maybe we can find them alive. Like I don't really know what was going on there. There's a lot of guesswork in this, by the way.
Oh my god.
And then there's a fightable Executor. You can fight it. We see the model. We have one. It looks like White Vorgoth a little bit, but
oh, that is a treasure trove of information what you just shared right now.
I know. And then there was supposed to be an all hands on meeting of they need to be vigilant. The Veilguard needs to be vigilant for the Executors, and that's the point of that ending slide. That ending thing of the Veilguard remains vigilant for the Executors. And that's kind of what they wanted to do. I don't know why it got cut. I think it was just time. I don't know if they'll ever go back to it. Maybe I'm revealing a future patch. I don't think so, but like, what if? But
I hope so hard. I honestly, you telling me this, I don't even know how to process my emotions right now.
Yeah.
I honestly felt at the end of the game, as much as I was happy about the ending and what I got from the Veilguard, I did not like those ending slides. I think those are the worst ending slides we've ever gotten from Dragon Age. They felt rushed. I was like, these feel like they were done quickly.
I think they were.
I thought that was actually a little bit disappointing overall. Not that it soured my experience of the game, but I was like, these are the lamest ending slides ever. And I felt like there needed to be a post ending kind of like, not quote unquote party, but like there's one in Andromeda where you kind of like wrap up things. Baldur's Gate 3 has something like that. Like I still hold out the thinnest hope that could be a patch, but it most likely won't be.
From the little bit I know, I wouldn't hold out too much hope, especially since with the VO strike going on, and I think like they just really want to wash their hands of it. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, by the way. I honestly don't know, but like at least what I hear, like I don't know if I'd hope out for much. But I agree. It does like I feel like Veilguard is like one DLC that's like what's that Mass Effect one that everybody loves? Oh my god, what's the one?
Citadel.
Yeah, it needs a Citadel DLC, and like it'd be great. Wrap up a couple things, explain a couple more things, give us a proper ending. Down in history is one of the best, and it's such a shame that it's so close, and I don't know if it's going to be able to do that.
And they've said right publicly, no DLC.
They're not working on DLC, is the quote. They're not shutting out the possibility. However, for years now, even before the VO strike, I asked like, "Oh, are you guys going to do DLC?" And they're like, "Well, we're not looking into it." And I don't know why. I don't know what business stuff, whatever. There was some quote that was very like canned businessy of like, "Well, EA wants to create more complete single player experiences with whatever," and then also kind of going into like, well, when you look at like the money of DLCs, like they don't actually sell as well as the main game. There's the main game sells this much, and then like a DLC is like maybe half of that. So is that really worth the cost? And I'm sitting there like, okay, I understand, but like Trespasser though.
Sure, and also like
Inquisition
BioWare
without Trespasser is like not as good. Trespasser elevates it. And Veilguard Veilguard has that need, and they could totally be there, and I want it so bad. Well, we all do.
Every BioWare game has had like a great DLC, like you mentioned Citadel for Mass Effect 3. Like that is part of the Mass Effect 3 experience. I can't imagine Mass Effect 3 without that.
But like that also happened with Andromeda. Like everyone was like trying to hope for that Quarian arc DLC, and it never happened.
Right.
And I do fear like that's going to happen with Veilguard, and I'm sad about it. I'm mourning that.
I can. Those are very good words. Sad and mourning describes how I feel about it as well. Even you talking about like between Davrin and Harding, like a chance of them surviving. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I need that. I need. God damn it. Fucking Asan. Like as heartbreaking as it is, but Davrin fucking Asan goes in after Davrin.
Turtle him for what?
I was just like, and when I realized, like, oh, I Googled the fuck out of that. Like, did I do something wrong? Is there a way I could have avoided this? And then, like, that's my Rook's romance option and best friend.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
had no choice.
Fuck me, I'm dead.
Yeah.
God damn it. I really did not think that. So to talk about that a little bit, and to talk about the ending, which goddamn is the best fucking ending since Mass Effect 2. Like it's that level to me of like I feel hesitant to call it a suicide mission, but it feels so much like the Mass Effect 2 ending mission where you're picking people to lead sub teams and which responsibility is who's going to do what. I thought that mission overall was fantastic.
Yes.
If someone had asked me right in that moment when it tells you to choose between who's going to lead the second group, Davrin or Harding, I'm like, they're not going to kill him, and they're both loyal or quote unquote loyal. They're both heroes of the Veilguard. But there was this one part of me that goes, yeah, but don't risk Harding. Like, just don't do it. And then Davrin dies, and I'm just like, holy crap, I'm really glad I did not risk Harding. Yeah. I would have been upset.
Yeah, I bet you would have, yeah. Oh, yeah. I like I love Davrin a lot. I love Harding a lot. And I was saying that, like, okay, if I pick the wrong one, maybe something bad's gonna happen. They're scouting, so I bet Scout Harding would do the best. And then she's sitting there and like, whatever it takes, and she gets stabbed. I'm saying like,
yeah. It's the multiple stabs. There is the multiple tentacles. Is that how she goes out too?
Yes, basically.
Yeah, and then gets thrown into the pit or whatever.
Yep. Falls in the pit.
But you know, like Davrin gets stabbed, and you're like, oh no. But like Garrus, I always pick Garrus in Mass Effect 2. He gets shot going through the door, but if he's loyal, he lives. So I'm like, okay, and then just like multiple stabs, and I'm like, oh fuck. He's so fucking dead. I'm like, he's fucking dead, and I maxed out his everything. Hero of the Veilguard, how can he be dead? And I gotta tell you, as much as it hurt and as much as I hated it, I loved it at the same time because that's never happened. But that's such a gutsy choice to be like, you did everything right, you made this character loyal, but you are in a war against elven gods, and like you are not going to come out of this unscathed. Like that's such a gutsy choice for them to make.
Yep. Yeah. I do wish like you could have more choices. Like, oh yeah, let's throw in like the whole party. Out of the whole party, who's going to lead the thing? Like, what? I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I agree with that. If it's going to be that choice, you should have been able to choose anyone.
Which, real quick, let's talk. We haven't really talked about much about what happened to Varric.
Yeah, that's I don't know. How did you feel when that was being revealed, I guess?
So I feel like I have a funny experience because on the council, like they never told us he died.
Yeah.
And in the original alpha version, Solas just pushes him and he falls. There's no stabbing at all. And I remember I had a quote, and I think others were with me, so I'm not the only one here. Of like, oh, he just fell down the stairs. Like he just broke a leg. Why can't he like come and party with us? Like this feels weird. Meanwhile, they're like having straight face, like, because he fucking died, Caitie. That's why he can't come and party with you guys. And so, like, I guess that's why they ended up stabbing him. Because we had that critique. I'm assuming, I don't know, but yeah. So like for 2 years, I knew he like had an accident, and he was fine afterwards. And so like that was just settled in my mind that he's fine afterwards. And so like, you know, through the game, he's like, oh yeah, he's not talking much with people, but he's fine. You know, he's not invited to the book club. Yeah, whatever. Bellara's like, you know, talking about she hasn't met him. Like, oh, she just hasn't gone. She's shy. She doesn't want to go talk to the guy. I get that. He's intimidating sometimes. You know, whatever. You know, like Nev saying like he paid the final price. Like, yeah, Bianca's fucked. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
that kind of sucks. And then like he's in the Fate prison. Like, Varric, what are you doing here, man? Like, what are you doing? Is this like a ghost of like, you know, like a spirit pretending to be Varric? And then Rook's like, you died. I'm like, oh. What? Girl.
As soon as he showed up, I was out loud by myself in my room, right? Nobody else is around. And as soon as I saw him out loud, I go, has he been dead? Did he die? Has he been dead the whole time? And I was like, no. And it's like a sinking feeling, man. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, I also had that moment of like, what? He died? I think in my mind, I was like, he's fucking dead? What?
Again, gutsy choice. And the first thing I thought about as soon as it was like, yeah, he's dead. It's like Dragon Age 2 takes place over the course of 10 years. This game is about 10 years after. I don't know why I just thought of that randomly. Like the amount of time that guy was, so to speak, in the fight. You know what I mean? Like the character. It's like, God damn, what an incredible run from that upstart dwarf in Kirkwall. Bravo. Hats off. Glasses raised in honor of Mr. Tethras.
Yeah. Now, I will say I would have thought, so going into this game, I thought Varric was going to die eventually. I just didn't know what happened at the start of the game. Because I know Mary Kirby really wanted to kill him off in Dragon Age 2, but the DLC didn't pan out. And then they laid off Mary Kirby. So in my mind, I was sitting there like, oh, like assuming he was alive. I'm like, okay, surely the writing team, who is friends with Mary Kirby, saw her get laid off and goes, his ass is grass. His ass is grass for Mary. That's what I thought they were going to do. But no, he was just dead the entire time anyway.
I got to be honest. I don't. It's not like a thing where I'm like, oh, they shouldn't have killed him off. Although there would be a part of me that's happy to see him like ride off into the sunset, so to speak, or whatever. I guess it's in the column of minor complaints, not major complaints. I think they should have just done it in the beginning. I'm not a huge fan of like the Fight Club-ish, like this was all in your head type of twist. Imagine if he just dies right from the start. I understand you don't get like as much of that mentorship in the one or two conversations that Rook thinks that he's having with, and I'm just going to say he because that was my Rook, that he's having with Varric, but the theme of regret and like the pain of losing a Varric up front, I think that could have actually heightened the emotion of the game going for. If you just, it's a harder pill to swallow for the fans, and it's a tough gut punch to take at the beginning of the game, but like just kill him in the beginning and let everybody know he's dead.
Yeah. I like the silly he was dead the whole time plot. I don't know. I thought that was fine.
It's not bad. I mean, as far as plot twists go, it's not bad, right?
Yeah, like I see where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with you. Unfortunately, I just think it was a fun plot point, and it just surprised me so much. So it was like, oh shit, that I can't not like it.
The other thing it made me think of immediately is You Are Revan, right? Like that feels like a very BioWare thing to do, going all the way back to KOTOR. Like it's kind of like it's in their vein, it's in their history of doing stuff like that for BioWare. So I don't hate it or anything. All right. We are well into this. We're like 90 minutes in. Let's run through the companions. We've been talking about the companions, and we will talk about these companions for who knows how long. We'll probably do an episode where we break them down individually and score them and do all that different stuff. But let's try and go rapid fire if we could.
Okay.
Rapid fire, just like, 2 thumbs up or 1 thumbs down. They were my favorite. They were my least favorite for X reason, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
All right.
You wrote it. Okay, you go.
Well, we'll each go. I get down as we go down the list. You'll go, I'll go, and then we'll move to the next person.
Okay.
All right, Bellara.
I liked her. I was really worried about her being super annoying, but I thought she worked. She's one of my main party members.
I also liked Bellara. I also thought that I was going to be annoyed with her, and when I got into her storyline more, I really started to like her. So, thumbs up, Bellara. Davrin.
I liked him. He was great. I do wish he did a little bit more for himself rather than Asan. That's my one complaint. But like for what he was, I quite liked him. I think unfortunately for my canon, I am going to have to choose Harding over Davrin, and I'm gutted about it because I do quite like him a lot.
Yeah. Loved Davrin. I came in thinking he was going to be the bro. He was the bro. He's my favorite companion. 2 thumbs up for Davrin all the way. Emmerich.
The best companion, hands down. Even without the romance, he's so fun. He's so weird. I love Manfred and their relationship. It's so cute. I don't know. I like kind of like mentor, characters, and he just definitely is that for the team. He's kind of the voice of reason, and I love that. He was great.
I just want you to have like a giant framed picture, like a really good picture of Emmerich, and then in the bottom, in quotation marks, he fucks Caitie of Ghildirthalen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want that hanging in my house because I have a kid. But like, In my heart, it's already up. It's already there.
There it is. Emmerich, I liked him. He's charming. He's way more charming than he has any business to be. I liked him.
He fucks.
It's so much better / worse when you whisper it. Okay, Harding.
I love Harding. It's Harding. Love Harding.
Yes, Harding. All the way back at Inquisition, from the moment she showed up, I was one of those people that like, she's cool. She seems nice. She should be a companion. And then a decade later, she's a companion. She's awesome. I love Harding.
Yeah.
Lucanus.
I liked him. He's okay. Like a thumbs up. I kind of wish I liked the thing with Spite. The Crows and Treviso, I thought the storyline was a little bit weak and needed more time, and he's just kind of wrapped up into all that. But he's all right. Did okay.
I really liked Lucanus, and this requires more exposition. I just feel like he was very close and could have been like my favorite / second favorite. He's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nev.
I like Nev a lot. She's definitely like a level head that the team needs. And I think she was really good with the synergy of the team. I love the silly detective noir stuff. I love her little pillbox hats. I think she was my bestie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I quite liked her.
Nev. I liked her. I hate the hats. Fun fact. I just want to knock the hat.
I'll fight you. I'll actually fight you.
This is like Yennefer versus Triss right now. This is the ultimate fight. Is whether those hats are cool or not. Finally, the one outfit she gets, her hero outfit, doesn't have the hat. I'm like, oh, thank God. That was so worth it. And take that hat off. I like Nev. Nev. She's cool. Taash.
I like Taash. I do think there was a lot of like maybe this has to do with the voiceover work, but like Tosh's voice is like it's such a strange dynamic where I feel like the stuff that was recorded earlier is like a kind of weaker, but then they get into it a little bit more and it comes off much more natural. And I think that kind of like grated on me a little bit. And I also feel like they should have gone harder into the voice of like, she says like, what the crap or what was that? I'm like, just let her say shit. Just let her say shit.
Sure.
Let her curse. Or let them curse. Just let Taash curse. Let them say skullfucker. It's okay. And so I do think they come off a little bit more juvenile than they should. And I kind of wish they were a little bit more mature sounding in that way. But like in a way, like they were like my protective little baby, and I wanted to like, like fuck off, mom. This is my kid now. So like it's gonna be weird trying to romance Taash because they're my kid now. So I feel like I almost feel like Taash is Sarah in this regard.
That's an interesting comparison. That is an interesting comparison. I liked Taash. Taash is my least favorite, and it pains me to say that because there are a lot of people hating on Taash when it's not deserved, and I don't want anything that I say to sort of like be fodder for, I don't know. Those people probably don't listen to the show. But I don't want to be in that camp. But if I'm being honest, even though I liked the character, if I got to rank them in order, like somebody has to be ranked last. It's probably Taash, even though I still like the character. We already talked about romance. We already talked about the fact that Emmerich fucks. What about companion quest lines in general? Did you have a favorite? How did you feel about the quality of them overall?
So all of the companion quest lines I thought were good, but I think it felt like all of them were missing a beat. I feel like there was like one mission that each of them needed to really wrap it up and like really fulfill it to its duty. Like when I feel like when I say like this game has a missing limb that you can feel, like it's in the companion quests. Like I got the ending with Isia where like I got the griffin feather and I showed it to her, and then I don't know, and like you're like, look what you used to love, the griffins, look what you used to do, look what you used to be, and she goes, oh my god, that's right, and she just kind of crumples and it's over, and it was really confusing. And like there is a codex that like maybe it just didn't fire for me. I had to like data mine it to read it, but it was like, oh yeah, she died. I'm like, she died? She just kind of like crumpled up. She just crumpled up and died. What happened there? And like, so that was kind of confusing with Harding. I feel like was leading up to this really cool thing, and then it just kind of ends. And I wish there was like one more beat where it just kind of explains, and like we go back to Volta and be like, well, what was up with the red lyrium Harding, and like what does this mean for Cal Shrock and all this stuff. Like for Bellara, like I wish we could even talk to Solas about what the hell the Forgotten Ones were. Like there was just like one beat per thing that just needed to wrap it up, and it would have been great. And they're all just like missing it, and that kind of bugs me. For what is there, I love it. Like I can't even think of what the strongest one is. Maybe I really liked Harding's because we need more dwarf lore. I
For
really
sure.
liked that. So
Yeah.
I think that was what's in like the Dead Titan set piece is so good. And
It's
I just
amazing.
it's so good. And like I wish we just had more of that. Like I love what's there, but it just needed more. And like that's I keep echoing that of like what's in the game. Like,
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like it's weird. I don't disagree with what you've laid out, or at least I don't think I do mostly, but I didn't feel that while I was playing it. I felt like
okay.
the companion quest lines were like standout. I felt like it's one of the best parts of the game. At least that's just how I felt while I was playing them. Maybe that was a recency bias or just a thing of being in the moment, but like the stuff with the Griffins and Davrin and Isaiah and all that stuff, like that felt epic to me. I wanted Griffins because I'm a Grey Warden guy, and then when it's like, oh, they're baby Griffins or whatever, I ended up loving Hassan. That's fucking outstanding. Like, even though I wanted adult Griffin that fucks shit up and he's little baby Griffin who's kind of goofy, it's heartwarming. You can pet him. Holy shit. When I was walking by and I was just like, can you pet him? Like, you can pet him. You can give him a hug. I was like, oh, dear God, this warms my soul. This is so excellent.
You could boop his little nose.
You can give him a boop. Oh, it's amazing. Fucking love Hassan. And then he died and my heart was broken.
Yeah. See, I love Manfred, where you could play rock, paper, scissors with my son. Love that. Love that.
Fucking Manfred. We'll talk about Manfred in a second.
I love Manfred.
I love the Griffin storyline with Davrin. I love the Harding one. Dead Titan set piece. I fully agree. Those felt like culminations to me. Like that moment for Harding in particular felt like a culmination to me. And at the same time, I agree, one more conversation with Volta would have been better. So you're not wrong. And then I also agree that Isaiah kind of just crumples or whatever, but I got the feeling that she died. And there was a boss battle. Like, you still fight her. So it's not like...
A little bit, but like, I don't know. I just like... Maybe I read the book and I'm like, Isaiah, can you like... say something?
I thought like the moments...
I shouldn't have done blood magic and trusted my my friend Kaylin. Oh no.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
Like there's that... It's not the final one, but it's the one where there's like the... I don't know how else to describe it. There's just shit tons of darkspawn coming up from everywhere. There's a skeleton of a dragon there, and you're like fighting off hordes. That was an awesome fight scene. Like, it was an awesome action sequence. That felt like a very cool moment. And then also the final fight felt really good. So like, I don't know, at least as far as like Davrin and Harding's, I felt like those were probably my favorites and the best. So I felt totally satisfied with those. I don't know that they were all equal. Like, I thought Taash's maybe lacked some.
Oh, and Taash's scream at the end, they did such a good job. Like, that might be top Dragon Age scream. It might be. And I love Meredith. Yeah, no, I loved the ending where like Taash's mom sacrifices herself, and like I loved that bit. I thought that was great. Like, I do think I wish it went into a bit more of what was going on with it on Tom, because I'm still a little like, what's going on there with that. And I wish it went more into that. Lucanus is also like, I don't know. Like, I kind of wish there was more feeling talk. Maybe this is weird to put it. Like, I wish we could unpack what happened with Ilario a little bit more than we do. That kind of stuff. And like, I also just think in general, if I have to hear the Antiva belongs to the Crows and it will be free one more time, I'm gonna like jump off my window. But like,
you went into this a little bit earlier. Maybe now is the time to talk about it. But like, the Antivan Crows, it's really kind of weird. And I understand it's explained in other pieces of the media, like, but they are fucking assassins. And there's this element of like, assassins aren't good people necessarily.
No.
they can be morally gray, like, hey, we fulfill contracts, we don't give a fuck. But now they're like lionized as like noble freedom fighters, and I'm like, I guess that's what they are now.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It's not their history either. So like,
it's not.
Yeah, and I wish that it went more into that. This is a new role for them, and like maybe they're struggling with that role, something like that. So yeah,
it's not. I kept noticing it, and I kept going like, but they are bad. Because the part where like they're giving shit to whoever, whatever, the governor or whoever he is.
Avicii.
Some guy who's the man. He's just meant to represent the man or whatever, and they're just like, this belongs to us. Antiva belongs to the Crows. And I'm like,
does it
who fucking elected? Well, not elected or whatever. Who appointed you? What line of secession? It's just like, so they're doing a coup then at that point.
A little bit.
They're not strictly speaking good guys, but they are constantly lionized. And I'm like, it would have been to me more interesting, like exactly what you said. They used to be a sort of amoral assassins guild, and now given the state of the world, they're trying to be noble freedom fighters, but maybe they're struggling with that. Mm-hmm. That would have been more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I kind of ruined Minrathous, so I feel like I didn't quite get the whole story with that. So I don't feel like I could talk about Nevs that much.
Oh shit, me too.
Yeah, so Emmerich was definitely the goofiest, but in a way that I'm like, as soon as that hand did a finger gun, I'm like, I feel like I would normally hate this, but it's working for me. And I don't know why. As soon as that hand like did like a finger gun, I'm like, this is stupid as hell, but I'm into it. I don't know what to say.
And that fucking hand showed up. I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? But yeah, I just kind of rolled with it. I was like, all right, fine.
It was fun. It was stupid. It was like I think that the game is allowed to have one goofy as hell mission, and it was Emmerich's, and it worked for me. I love Johanna. And she's weird and goofy, and like she lives in the lighthouse now. Sure. Why not? I thought that was great. You know what? We can have one little goofy thing for fun, and that was it. Which Emmerich and like all of that questline was Sylvia, and like I just love Sylvia's work. It just really hits with me. It's good shit.
It is. It's silly. People are lying to themselves if they think silliness has not always been here. It's always been in Dragon Age. It's fucking
Hawk
always been in Dragon
Age. In the poopy.
I really
still hate that DLC, but it's been there.
Manfred is funny, man. I didn't think I was gonna like dopey skeleton sidekick, but like he won me over a little bit. It's not bad.
He's great. I love him. And during the romance at the very end, like when you save Manfred, you just turn to Emmerich like, so we have a son now, right? And he's like, no, but he's not my son. But he did this really cute thing the other day, and Emmerich's like, oh fuck me, he is our son. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And that was maybe because I have a kid and that's just my path in life, but I thought it very heartwarming to be able to save my kid from it hit me in a very good spot, and I was very heartwarming. And then just seeing Emmerich having the joys of fatherhood was like, yeah. Like it was I have a great time with it. No, Emmerich slaps. I love him.
I like Emmerich. I think I'll him maybe continue to grow on me more. Mm-hmm. I like him overall. He's not like top or bottom. He's just a nice, solid companion. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will say about these companions overall, much to the chagrin, I'm sure, of the haters, what a solid overall group. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they have, and I may feel differently upon multiple playthroughs, because sometimes, like, my opinions of people have gone up and down. Like Sarah grew on me the more I played Inquisition. I didn't mind Liam so much the first time in Andromeda, but man, he got worse this time. Like you do a couple playthroughs and you go, fucking, this guy is ridiculous.
That's why we do the episodes where we rank the companions so we can sit on it for a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I didn't realize Oghren was the worst companion in the history of Bioware games until, like, the fourth playthrough of Origins, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll feel differently about this over time, but overall, I would say it's a really solid group. I don't think anyone rises to the heights of Morgan, Alistair, Solas, Aveline, whoever you want to say. I don't think they have that star player, but it's a solid group.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Bellara, real quick, because I got to get this one off my chest.
Okay.
Her quest line. I liked her more and more pretty much as the game went on. I thought that she started off a little bit grating on my nerves, and I ended up liking her. When her brother is alive, it was hard not to check out. I was like, what? I just thought, like, I get it in Magic and all that different stuff, and they're doing this different stuff. And I was just like, it was so impactful when she tells you about when he died, when she thought he died. And I'm like, this just, and now he's evil. He's like, we brought him back to life and he's evil. And I'm just like, well, this kind of just kicks the legs out from like the really serious moment we had a little while ago. I don't know how you felt about it. It did not resonate for me.
I was very confused of like, wait, wasn't there? What about? And like, I'm kind of like waiting for like, I guess a full judgment of when I like can go back and really like look at the text to be like, is this ever explained how he survived this? Because I don't remember it. I do wish like, yeah, it did clunk. It did clunk for me. Yeah, like I wish like, why is Anaris doing this? What's going on? I have a lot of confusion about. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like that first conversation with Bellara is so good. And I wish they played up that a little bit more, of like that feeling, because like as soon as it's alive, like that whole conversation is kind of moot, and it's just a completely different story now, and I do wish like that had carried over, and to like even be like he could be like maybe alive, but it's very clearly not him, so then it's like you take the night and twist it rather than like he's alive and it is him, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right. He's got an evil mask now. He's evil. Why is he evil? Because he has a mask on. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I still like Bellara, but I do feel like that her arc went to like, ooh, I'm really, really starting to like her. And then her personal quest got, in my opinion, a little campy. And I was like, that's fine. I still like her, but it could have been better. Okay, this is maybe a good transition point to talk about dialogue, specifically voice direction, acting, unless there's anything else on companions you want to get off your chest.
I'm good.
The voice acting. I think that the acting and the writing generally is good in this game. I think that there are valid criticisms to be made about certain sections, about obviously it's a big game. There's probably tens of thousands of lines of dialogue in there. So there's going to be some weak points. It is frustrating to me, and this is just me saying how I personally feel about it, but this is how I always feel. It is very frustrating to me when I feel like there are valid criticisms that I want to say, but are then like getting thrown onto a pile that is already way too big because people are throwing bullshit onto the pile.
Yeah.
So that annoys me because I don't want to like cope and tug the other direction because they're exaggerating negatively. So I'll exaggerate positively to try and even it out. I don't want to do that. But like there are some parts of this where you go, oof, that is not good.
Yeah.
And then there are other parts of it where you're like, holy crap, that's super. And we talked about Solas, right? Like there's moments where you're like, God damn, that's really good.
Yeah, there really is.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like there was something that I was sitting on, and like I understand why people don't like it. Unfortunately, with my background, we all know that I come from a therapy background. This is who I am. This is what I did, whatever. It was my job for a while. So that type of talk doesn't bother me. In fact, I find it very comfortable and I like understand it. So when people say, Veilguard has a lot of therapy talk, I go, yeah! Excitedly. Now, granted, I do think there was some parts that clunked. Like if you talk to, I think it happens if it's friended or a romanced Inquisitor, and you talk to Solas, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't want to make any ties." And you go, "Oh, what about the Inquisitor?" And he goes, "Well, and he kind of goes into his feelings about his friends, the Inquisition or the romance." And then Rook responds with, "Thank you for telling me that." And that is such a therapy line. Like we're taught that in the school. That's therapy 101. Someone like pours their heart out. And to validate that, you go, thank you for telling me these feelings that were like, hard for you to express. That is therapy 101. And there's a lot of little things like that where it's definitely like that's how you're taught to talk, and that's how like you're taught to relate to people that like are going through a hard time, and like that's kind of language, and Rook doing that. And I found that compelling, and we're going to go back here of why I wanted to train to a Morn Watcher who was around death and dying and who be trained to talk like that as well. That's how I feel like Rook is like that's their superpower. That's how they can defeat Solas. They have emotional intelligence where he does not.
Oh, that's a great point.
That's how I view Rook.
That's a great read of Rook. And also, just to add on to that, I feel like Rook is actually, as a protagonist, a very good sort of like team member leader, if that term holds any meaning for you, right? Like as opposed to the Inquisitor, as opposed to Shepherd or Hawk or the Warden or any of these other protagonists, like Rook is very much a team member leader, which is not better or worse, but it's just a different type of thing. And that's just so different from who Solas sees himself as.
What do you... I'm a little confused. Like, what do you mean team member leader?
Like, that's maybe a corporate term.
Yeah.
But like someone who is in a lead role, but they still feel like they're a part of the team, as opposed to being like where there's a hierarchy, right? Like sometimes you have a director or a manager, like a person who you report to directly. And then sometimes there's a member of the team who sort of informally takes on leadership responsibilities.
Okay.
And
so you're leading from a place of equality rather than leader. Like,
essentially, yeah. Like you recognize they may have more talent or competency than you in certain areas, but like that person still comes out with everyone for drinks.
Yes.
Kind of makes sense. Like they're not separated in that sort of lonelier leadership role, which Rook kind of is. It's kind of like both, but I don't know. That's just something a feeling I got while playing the game.
I get that. Yeah. No. Okay. Because I definitely felt Inquisitor was kind of lonely in her role, in my opinion. So okay, that I get what you're saying. And I also I feel like right now in this conversation, you're coming from a very business standpoint. And I'm coming from a very therapist standpoint. We're trying to make sense of what each of us is saying.
But that's what analogies are for.
That's what it is. So I will go on.
Well, no, I was just going to say finish what you were going to say, because I had another thought after that.
Well, I was basically just going to wrap it up of like, I get why people are saying like, Rook has too much therapy speak, but that gels with me.
So that's what I was going to add on the quote unquote therapy speak. I haven't heard that yet, but that's because I'm very unplugged from, I guess, what people are saying. If people are bringing that up as a negative, my first thought or reaction is like, where have you been? Like, this has been Bioware. It's kind of all RPGs.
No, it really is. Like, the Inquisition definitely had most. I would say this goes the heaviest. In like past one, but like the past games definitely have those moments, and like I think that's why I like the game so much, because they think and they talk how I do.
Yeah, like for a long time.
Can I real quick? Every once in a while I'll have a tweet where I mention that like that's my background, or I'll talk to someone, and I meet a whole bunch of other therapists in the Dragon Age fandom. We're all here. Sorry.
It's like, I mean, going all the way back to Baldur's Gate 2, I feel like BioWare sort of pioneered that framework, and now it is the framework for so many RPGs across Larian and Obsidian and basically almost all of the party-based role-playing games, where it's like you have companions and you are supposed to basically directly but not directly ask them, what is your backstory? And it's a meme at this point, but that's kind of how it works. And the Dragon Age Origins is way worse of an offender than that. You're just like non sequitur asking people why they believe what they believe, and tell me what it was like before you were here, and how do you feel about this? And that's what all of the games have been doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mind it. It's fine. I like. I have no complaints on that front.
There we go. What do you? Let's if we're going down the line here, what about the art style? How do you feel about that?
I think that the eyeballs look stupid on the Darkspawn. I think some stuff is goofy. It's a beautiful game, though. It's just gorgeous. It's fantastic to look at. Bravo, one more time for fucking photo mode guy. I don't know how you did it at the end, but it's phenomenal. Is it the best photo mode, technically speaking, that I've ever used? No, I don't care. I loved using it so much. I took so many fucking screenshots.
Did you get the new patch that happened yesterday? They have some new filters on.
Really? There's
Yeah.
Oh.
Added new filters.
I love this game so much I'm replaying the old games, so I am now knee deep in Origins.
Okay. Well, you'll come back and there'll be more patches, maybe some more.
Yes. I would be very excited. But no, there are parts of the art style that I don't enjoy, but overall, what a phenomenal looking game. Gorgeous looking game.
Yeah. Can I just like a big shout out and a big hug and kiss to like anyone who ever like looked at the Ghildirthalen animation and design, and I love Ghildirthalen's design so much. It's so cool. I love how she moves more like a tapeworm and wormy than it does a squid tentacle. So creepy. I just enjoy her character so much.
Phenomenal. The dragons were really cool in Inquisition, but like on another level here in this game. I know you mentioned very briefly armors before. I would say the first third of the game I was very underwhelmed. Like I left the starting armor appearance on, even though I changed the actual items like for the stats.
Yeah.
I didn't like anything for like the first third of the game. Once I got into some of the other ones, like the ones that had like warden specific versions, I was very satisfied. And so I really liked it. I love that fucking N7 armor.
Oh, that is a good armor.
The one that they added for N70. I was so hyped that was there with the stripe and everything from Mass Effect. I was very pleased.
I'm doing a dwarf playthrough right now, and I am wearing that because it's very good. That said, I'm not a fan of any of the all the armors are mid. I'll say
that's fair. That's fair from Caitie's perspective.
Not into it. So I'm very excited for mods. Yep, I agree. Like the art style, like when they first showed us the art style, and I'm like sitting there like, why did you change it from Inquisition? Inquisition was perfect. Like why? Why did you change it? And I don't know why they did that. So I don't hate it though. Like it definitely is. I think is something you need to get used to. And I do think the heads are a little bit big. The eyes can be a little bit big, but I don't know. I got used to it. And when you're in the game, I don't really think about it anymore.
Yeah. That's the number one thing. When you're in the game, how bad is it really? Like when I'm playing Dragon Age Origins, I'm like, I don't mind this. They should have just kept this. And then when I'm going to play Dragon Age 2, I'm going to be like, it's not that bad. They should have just stuck with this. And then when I'm playing Inquisition...
I'll say 2. They should not have stuck with 2. I'm glad they got rid of 2.
I'll admit,
fucking elf designs was terrible.
Okay, you're right. The elves were not good.
No.
They could have stuck with Inquisition. I would have been happy.
Great. Yeah.
But they've changed it every one. And so why not? The sound design in this game is freaking phenomenal, in my opinion.
Now, I will want to say the music. A lot of people are saying like Inquisition's music was the greatest of all time, and like I can't argue because there's some wonderful pieces from Trevor Morris, but I feel like when I sat down and actually listened to the soundtrack, because we ripped the soundtrack, and listening to it and like in the car driving and stuff like that, like it's really growing on me, and there's some really good pieces there, but I feel like the game, like other than the end when like you see Elgar'nan in his fucked up form for the first time and the music goes hard for that, and like during the redeem ending with Solas, it brings out that lost elf and you're sitting there sobbing your eyes out. For me, you didn't actually experience that, did you? Yeah, when you redeem Solas, the lost elf comes back in like this beautiful form, and it even weaves in Rook's theme a little bit. Top notch, wonderful.
Oh, beautiful.
And like you can even hear some of like the Inquisition music when the Inquisitor comes back, and when Morgan, it's like that Mythal's theme and what. That's good. But yeah, I feel like the game takes the approach of soundtracks of music is not a character, it's flavor for the story, so you don't notice it a lot of the time. And so I feel like that's why people aren't getting attached to it as it was in Trespasser, where the Trespasser ending, Lost Elf and the Dread Solas theme is a character. It is completely different when it's not there. Like it just elevates it so much, where I feel like they really kind of kept it subtle and more of a toned down in the rest of the game. And like there's a lot of serious moments in Inquisition that I can tell you exactly what song is playing, but I can't do that for Veilguard, and I just played it. So I do feel like it's not as memorable, but I also don't think it's bad. And like I don't know if that's a sound design choice or a music writing choice, and it might even be like a part of like the theory behind what they did. Like I feel like there's something deeper here than the music was bad. No, it's not bad. When you listen to it, it's actually really good. I actually quite like Rook's theme now, but it's just there's a theory there of how the game music is different. That I am just too stupid to understand or articulate. But like, whatever is happening is was a conscious choice, and I feel like it's there for a reason. I just cannot articulate how or why.
That's fair. That's fair. I do think this is one of those instances where I guess there's some distinction here because I quite like the music.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's one of those things like I can totally see it from the other direction because it does feel different than any of the other games. And in particular,
it does
kind of
lean into like people are calling it a little bit Mass Effect-y because it does have like there's electric guitars and Elgar'nan's theme. Yep. Like that's never happened before. I think it's fun. I kind of like it. But like people are saying it's too Mass Effect. Like, okay, I get where you're coming from that because it does have more modern instruments.
I think in a lot of ways it is perhaps guilty of being less distinctive in that like, and we're going to get into why this is, but it feels like a very cinematic score. Like what you see, and it's a very good cinematic score in my opinion, very competently put together, and I think it does everything, as far as you say, like adding to what the story is, adding to what the moment is. Maybe not as much of being a character, but I think it absolutely accompanies all of the scenes that it's in appropriately and sort of raises the level of emotion that's there. At least it did for me. But it does sound like the sort of music that you see in a lot of major motion pictures. That is because of who the composer is, and I thought Lorne Balfe did a phenomenal job.
He did, yeah.
Overall, I will forever think that one, quote unquote, one of Zimmer's guys will go down as one of the worst, like one of the saltiest. And it's a good burn, I guess, but it's it's clearly salty, and I just go like, he's done a lot of excellent films. Like he's not quote unquote one of Zimmer's guys. He is, in fact, a distinguished composer in his own right, and he did a great job. But I understand it's different than Inquisition. It's different than a lot of the rest of the series, and probably a lot of people are not going to like it for that.
I do think as time goes on and more people sit with it and like really sit there with the loop, they're like, okay, yeah, no, I get this.
I think the main theme slaps. Like I fucking love it. I think it's really, really outstanding. I do think it's underutilized a bit, but I like it.
I do prefer like there's Elgar'nan scene. I really like the Dreadwolf theme is so good too. It's a different. People are like, well, no, Lost Elf and Dark Solas theme from Inquisition are Solas' themes. Like, yes, that's Solas' theme. This is the Dreadwolf's theme. This is different. It's a little bit unassuming, and then it like goes in and is like very manipulative, and like that works for me. I think it's great. And there's a lot of tracks I've been just like listening to on repeat while I'm writing scripts and stuff, and it's been good.
I have a question for you, and I don't know if it might just be like I don't have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
How much did you enjoy in The Witcher 3 wandering around Velen?
Which one was Velen?
Velen's the start of the game, not White Orchard, but right after, where the Baron, most of the Baron quest line, the swampy part of it, around the Barrens area.
I remember we did it. It does not stand out in my mind.
There is, I guess you could call it a stinger in this soundtrack for the Veilguard. That sounds exactly like the music from Velen.
Oh, really?
It's like a 4-second thing, and I don't know how to describe what is happening musically. It sounds like, I'm like, is that the fucking Witcher 3 soundtrack?
There's been a couple of those. Someone was telling me that like they desperately wanted to find some bit in like the Arlathan because they could have sworn it sounded like a Kingdom Hearts bit. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I have one of those moments because like I'm so deep into Dragon Age that I would just be like, oh look, this part sounds like the Inquisitor's theme because it's the fucking Inquisitor's theme. But
yeah, when you're walking around, I'm just like, it just sounds like something that I heard a million times while I was wandering around Velen in The Witcher 3. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's a good soundtrack, perhaps slightly derivative. I don't know. Other than music, we've talked about this before. The gameplay combat is not necessarily the thing that draws you in.
No.
What'd you think of it regardless?
I thought it was fine. I'm not mad at it. here's the thing. I play on like the little baby's first game mode, and I put on no death, and I'm just kind of sitting there like vibing, like we're gonna have a good time tonight. You know, just like I'm sitting there with like the orb and dagger, like not paying attention. Like at one point, I got all the Solas murals way too early. And so I walk into the like not the mythal, but like there's like the revenant dragon at the crossroads, and it's like level 50, I think.
Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, I rolled into that at 25.
And you're like, nope.
Fuck it, we're doing it. No, we're doing it. We did it.
You did it at 25. Wow.
Yeah, well, I couldn't die. What could I do? And then I also had Mythal help me to take down the shield. So I was like, yeah. Who cares? We're doing this. I want to see the culmination of this end quest. What's going on? And I'm just doing dancing. The formless one was soon after, and he's 40. I'm like, I want to see what this formless one. This is Act 1. I don't even give a shit anymore.
Some of those fights, what were they, champions, or the ones that after you get the champions, then you fight something worse than that? Those are ones where I'm going to call it, felt the long distance spirit of Anthem, where I'm like, this could be an MMO boss fight, couldn't it? It almost could be. Not in a bad way. I got to tell you, as the resident self-proclaimed Origins bro, I mean, I think I said it probably a million times leading up to the release of this game that I didn't think I was going to be a fan of this. I got to tell you, I liked it. I liked it a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to.
That's good.
It's not like somebody could give me a magic button that says we could go back to tactics and I wouldn't press it. But for what it is, I had so much damn fun playing this. I think it rose to a level that I did not expect it to rise to. I know there's some mixed opinions on it out there, but especially once you get level 20 and higher, the game's just pretty goddamn fun. The companions are way more useful than I thought they were going to be. Like, not even just when you're using them to set off detonation stuff, but like sometimes I would just turn around and I'd be like, God damn, Lucanus, like, leave some for me. You just fucking wiped out a bunch of people. Good job. Like, I feel like the companions in Andromeda did absolutely nothing ever if they weren't being commanded to use an ability. And I was afraid that that's the space that we were going to be in, and we were not. And when they do use their abilities, I love the time slowing one in particular. That Nev and I think Bellara can do it too. I love the fact that healing magic is back. And so multiple of them made themselves very effective in there. I love the tank abilities. Davrin, in addition to being a bro, also made a great tank from a gameplay standpoint. So I played as rogue. It'll be very interesting to go back and do it as warrior and mage, but I had way more fun with the combat in this game than I ever thought I was going to.
Yeah, I have nothing to say, because meanwhile I'm over here going, all right, the companions level up. Oh god, that's like 8 skill points. Jesus Christ.
I like how they handled their skill trees, and like they level up based on like approval, basically. How much you take them out to do adventuring stuff. We talked about this briefly in the past about like gear and how like it's not the best in Inquisition. I think they heard you, they heard me, they heard all of us. They made great strides towards like, look however you want to look. A lot of these resources count towards upgrading the equipment you have, upgrading my brain is spacing out, the floaty guy who upgrades your gear.
Caretaker.
The caretaker, there you go. So overall, I liked it. I liked the systems. I'm almost shocked that I had as much fun with it as I did.
No, yeah, that's the thing I kept hearing, and I think like when we were doing the hands-on, like all of us were kind of like, I don't know about like this non-tactic thing, but like when we all got our hands on, we're like, yeah, no, it's fine, it's good. It's not tactics, it's definitely not, but like we're fine with it.
Yeah, we're fine with it. I know we knew this was going to be a long episode, but in the interest of trying to finish before we run out of gas, let's run through some final topics here. Just I'm going to say this super quickly. Yeah. The technical execution of the PC should be lauded.
Yes.
You can say whatever you want to about the story, whatever else you don't like. This is one of the best technical launches on PC of any game of any developer in a long time. It's practically pristine.
It is. Really, like the people who worked on like the back end of this should be like raises, like handshake, more money, whatever they want.
Bravo
They
to
did
all of
great.
you.
They did great. It is honestly good.
Phenomenal. I guess this maybe can't be done quickly. 2 sections. What's the reaction been? Because I'm, again, very unplugged. What's the reaction, in your opinion, amongst the faithful only? Let's just talk about the people who are here for it.
So the people who are here for it, I think, echo a lot of what I say. Like, there's a lot to love, but we definitely feel that like phantom of what could have been, of what should have been, of what they wanted to do. And I think like the space that we are in is like we really like Veilguard. We love Veilguard for what it is, but it like like we wish these things existed. And I feel like there is now like a community. Like I've seen a lot more people doing data mining stuff now that maybe I don't remember Inquisition that well. I don't know. I wasn't like as like into it as it was now, but I feel like a lot more people are like posting things they find of like, oh, look what I found. Look at this reference I found. Like I'm seeing more of that. um I'm also like in like a little Discord, and we're talking about it, and like it's like you have people sitting there mourning what they wish could have happened, but then they go off and be like, oh, but this one part was really cool and we love it, like, so it's kind of like we I do think there's an element of we waited 10 years for a game, and we had a game in our heads for 10 years, and a part of us has to mourn that game that could have been and what we wanted with what the reality is. And I think that's perfectly fine. And like Veilguard, no matter how good it would have been, probably would have always disappointed from one way or another. And I feel like some people didn't really grasp that, and not in like a negative way, just in a way that like this, like not everyone's sitting there thinking about Dragon Age every day. You know what I mean? So like it's not something that they would like put thought into, and I think that's perfectly valid. But I do feel like the sense is it like they like it, but there's a but there. And I think that's what the faithful is. They like it, but and then have a laundry list of various complaints. Are you going to ask me about the wider reaction now?
So, yeah, okay. So let's talk about the wider. I do know a little bit of it because I'm on the internet occasionally, and so I kind of know. But what has been your take of the wider reaction?
So the wider reaction. So there's people that like. It's funny. People who've never really played a Dragon Age game before was like, oh, this is great. I loved it. This is awesome. Like, hey, this is good. Maybe I'll go play the others. This is so cool. And then you got the people that like played the games once a couple years ago, and then like they have like this weird warped memory of what Dragon Age was when it really wasn't. And I feel like those are kind of the people that are like, why is my game woke now? I'm like, did you not?
That's how they're Canadian. I don't know what to say to these people. They're Canadians. Okay, I get it. I'm born and raised in Texas, but they're just nice Canadian people. That's just how they are, okay? There are nice Canadian friends. You either accept them or you don't.
Well, one thing that really bothers me about like, oh, why is it so woke now? Like, I'm sorry you don't remember when Origins came out. I was able to unearth through the Internet Archive. I dove deep into this because I felt reference to like I got to see it. Jimmy Kimmel, 2009, had a segment where he was making fun of the Zevran romance for being gay.
It's because he's a gay elf. It writes itself. It writes itself.
Yeah, and then ends with a weirdly racist Chinese thing.
Oh, no.
It did not end well, let me tell you. So like, but like there was a big outcry when Origins came out that you could have a gay romance. This has been the Bioware games.
It was in KOTOR too, by the way. It was with Juhani. It was with Juhani. It's been there the whole time.
It's been there the whole time. So like the people are saying like this is not my Dragon Age. Like
they don't remember. This is one thing that does set me off. It triggers me on so many different ways. I go, who the fuck are these people? Like, did you play any of the games? Do you remember? Like, it's always been there. Especially the stuff about, like, camp, or not even just woke, but just, like, they're doing these weird things where they cherry pick one particular scene from Veilguard, and then they, like, juxtapose it with, like, the darkest moment from Origins or something like that. And, like, do you not remember fucking Tegan dancing to the fucking thing? Like, there are so many, or just like the origins of like the old Nan or whatever and the human noble. Like, there's so many ridiculous moments and bad voice acting. You want to talk about bad voice acting in Origins? Like, holy crap! it's been this way the whole time. I don't know where these people have been or if they're just pretending and to forget, but like it's been this way the whole time. You either take it or you don't.
Yeah, well, a lot of it now, like, there is money in performative outrage, and that's what they're doing, and that's what it is. Like, in a way, I kind of understand where they're coming from, because there's such chaos in America and really all over now, that like things are just kind of terrible with like the economy and whatever and blah blah blah, that like we're looking for the past in this that doesn't exist. This is like the romanticization of the 1950s. We're romanticizing our childhood because that's when things were easier and simpler, and a lot of these people grew up on Origins and whatever when they were children. Even myself, like, I didn't play Origins because I was a little bit too young at the time. I say too young, I was like 17. But like, there's that romanticization, and so we're looking at that past, trying to get that back, and an outrage when that doesn't exist now, when we really don't remember the context of when that was, of what the times were going on, because we were too young to remember. And I think like that's what a lot of people are making their money on, and it's predatory, and I think it's a little bit of a grift, but like in a way, I think some of them don't realize they're doing it either. I don't know.
I think there's two camps. I think there's a camp that I'm more disappointed in, even though they're not doing as bad. Like, let me break it up. I think there's two camps. I think there's one camp that are peddlers. Mm-hmm. I think they are selling a drug called anger and rage. And just like you said, like that is what they're doing.
Yes.
They know exactly what they're doing. They are pressing that button because it is getting them views. Mm-hmm. And that is basically what they've decided to monetize. And I think that's ridiculous. But they're less worth commenting on. Then there is another group of people. I'm thinking of specific content creators who I like very much, who I won't name, mm-hmm. who I'm just like, you could do this better. Like there are people who I've seen them stream these older games, and I'm just like, why are you saying this? Like, why are you saying that it's not dark fantasy or whatever? Like, you played Origins. I watched you play Origins. You know how silly it can be. And like, why are you like willingly forgetting that Bioware games in the Dragon Age franchise has almost always had this uneven tone, mm-hmm. where it goes very dark fantasy and then it goes campy and then back to dark fantasy and so on. Or like the quote unquote woke stuff, their progressive politics that they are definitely putting into their game. They are definitely doing that, but it's their prerogative. It's their freaking game. They can put whatever they want in it.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or don't agree. They've always done that. What are we just forgetting that they've always done that? And so like certain people who I know are still saying this stuff. And it's very frustrating because I've been here the whole time, so to speak, like as a really long time Bioware fan. Mm-hmm. And it's just annoying. Like even on gameplay fronts, there were a whole group of people, Caitie, who were dead set on boycotting Dragon Age Origins because it was dumbing down Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights.
I bet.
And now Dragon Age Origins is considered the hardcore. I've never seen so many people say so many nice things about Inquisition.
I know! Oh my god, the history is being rewritten!
It is 100% being rewritten. Inquisition's the greatest game that's ever existed, didn't you know?
I'm like, look, Inquisition always has a place in my heart, and like that's going to be really hard to like uproot itself from Veilguard. But like, what the fuck do you mean you like the hinterlands now? Get the fuck out of my house! Get the fuck out of my. Who are you?
I feel like it's just people who are just like, oh, Dragon Age Inquisition was too big. They shouldn't have made it open world, and now it's not open world, and they're like, look at how many things you could do in the hinterlands.
And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah,
it's incredible. It's honestly, if you don't let it make you mad, it's actually kind of hilarious and amazing.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on in the lore too, like on the lore side of things, where people are like, oh, which I kind of touched on it before, like 2.5 hours ago, where it was like, yeah, you know, they just don't know, like they're just not reading. What do you mean you don't know the codex from this one specific area of the game, and now you're trying to talk about it like you know? It drives me fucking nuts, dude. Drives me nuts. And like, look, I understand, like things are different. We have to accept that and move on. But like, this has always been happening. Like the lore between 2 and Inquisition is very different too. This isn't unusual.
How much of Origins has been retconned?
All of it, yeah, no, like 2 went into, you go into 2 and it was like, hey, do you remember those slides in Origins? Yeah, fuck.
Nah.
Fuck.
Nah.
You don't even read them anymore. Mod them out. We don't even give a shit anymore. You know, like it's always happened.
It's been happening. It's been happening the entire time. We will pick an episode one time and talk about this more broadly, but there's nothing we can say about. Oh, did you want to add something else?
I just want to yell about the Blight's inconsistent. The Blight's inconsistent in Origins. You heal a dog with a flower, and then everything else in the game is don't even get.
Oh, that's right. You do heal a dog with the flower.
Yeah, no. The only way that makes sense if that guy was just fucking lying to you, which is my vision of how that scene actually is. But whatever.
It's okay. We're gonna be okay.
We're gonna be okay.
There's nothing that we can talk about with sales because no one knows what the sales numbers are. And I know some people are saying that they do, and this and that leaked, and et cetera, et cetera. The next quarterly call, I think, is in February.
It's 25, early 25 sometime.
That's when we'll know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell people. That's when we'll know. Unless EA does the thing where they say, hey, celebrate everybody, we sold 5 million or whatever they sold. If they don't do that, they're going to say it met expectations or it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is going to be, and I don't want to cope and say, oh, it sold amazing. I'm getting the feeling maybe it did not sell amazing.
I do want to say one thing, though. I was reading, someone linked to me, oh, do you think this is true? And it was about, oh, it's selling terribly and the mood at Bioware is grim. I at least want to talk about the mood at Bioware, because that I can at least I have a touchstone on. The mood at Bioware is not grim. They're all on vacation. They all took PTO and they don't give a fuck right now. The game shipped, they're flipping us. There's a core team there working on patches. Everyone else is having going on vacation. They're doing stuff. Everyone's on PTO right now.
Excellent.
That's what they're doing.
Outstanding. That's
John
what it should
Epler
be.
right now is on Blue Sky, just tweeting his heart out about Stalker 2. He doesn't give a fuck.
Good. They deserve a break.
They all do. Yeah, no, the mood isn't grim. They're going back to their personal life. And the only thing I've heard about sales is it's good. It's good. Yeah, that's all I've heard. Because I asked, and it was oh, their videos were going good. Okay,
Good.
Maybe it's not amazing, but I think my gut is that when we get to that the corporate call or whatever it is, that they'll be it met expectations, and that's probably what it's going to be.
That's what all their games have done. Look, I want to knock on wood. I am not going to tempt fate. The history of Electronic Arts is that they have ended studios for less. They have absolutely ended studios that didn't deserve to get ended. So we'll knock on wood and we'll hope that doesn't happen. But for the people who are trying to make it about a defeat of Bioware, I got bad news for you. If you think less than blockbuster sales is going to end Bioware, almost all of their games have been less than blockbuster sales, to be honest. The best Bioware selling games are never Call of Duty and Elder Scrolls and all these other games. They sell a few million. If they do that, that's considered a win.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do outperform expectations, but if they don't, as long as they, get over the bar, so to speak.
Yep. And that's all that matters. So,
all right. Last two questions. Mm-hmm. And these could be huge questions, but we'll kind of try and do them in a quick format.
Okay.
Where do you rank Veilguard among Dragon Age games, and what's next, do you think, for Dragon Age?
So it is hard because I've played the first 3 games 100 times, and I have 2 runs of Veilguard under my belt. 2.5. Not even that. 2 1/3. I'm still in Act 1 on my current playthrough. It's going to be hard to dethrone Inquisition to me, because that's really what made me fall in love with Thedas. I really like Origins. I really like 2, but Inquisition made me fall in love. And but at the same time, Veilguard is the reward for that. You know what I mean? It's built on that, and I get to see my Inquisitor, and there is that wrap up ending. I'm now the Soveillan hell is over. We are now in Soveillan heaven. That kind of joke. But in a way, it's kind of true. I was completely satisfied with the Soveillan ending, and I'm so happy for it. I'm glad we even got anything. I'm having a lot of fun with that and all this other stuff. A lot of the lore was really meaty. I will say a lot of the lore is that was brought into Veilguard was more confirming rather than asking more questions. And there are still questions to be asked, don't get me wrong. They answered one and created 5 more questions, but it was a lot of hey, you guys have been talking about this for a while. We're going to confirm a couple things. And I feel like what Veilguard tried to do was say, like, okay, here's like a lot of the major stuff. We're gonna like kind of like put it in a nice little box for you. Happy birthday, but leave you enough that if this is the end of the series, that you'd feel content. And I feel that, and I do feel content, and I'm happy with it. So like I think like right now, the more I don't play Origins, the more I don't want to play Origins, because it is very clunky and it's kind of ugly, and like there's some really good stuff there, but like I feel like I played it enough times and I don't need to play it again. And then 2 is there's a lot of good start parts to 2, but like it is really slow sometimes. So I think I would like in my like rank of I would put Inquisition Veilguard 2 and Origins. That's how I would rank them.
You put Origins last.
I did.
My heart hurts. So
I'm sorry.
it's your ranking. It's your ranking, Caitie.
I'm sorry.
You
Well,
make
no,
it.
it's a good story. It's just not one that resonates with me. That's
Yeah.
just it. I'm sorry, Jordan. I kind of don't give a fuck about the Wardens.
I know.
I know.
There's a lot of people that feel that way. My precious Wardens.
I'm sorry. I'm unfortunately the elf nerd, and so like of course my order is Inquisition Veilguard.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Of course, that's what I understand my bias.
What an interesting what's the word? What's an interesting dichotomy? What an interesting comparison, though, because we agree on we agree that Inquisition is very good. I don't put Inquisition number 1.
Okay.
I'm going Origins, Inquisition, Veilguard, and then DA2.
Okay.
And there was a point about halfway through Veilguard when I was really struggling with like, is this game better than Inquisition? And I think I was leaning. Like, I think there was a point where I was leaning Veilguard over Inquisition. I think that part of that is like recency bias and excitement, and who knows? Like I said, sometimes I like a game more when I replay it, sometimes less. I think especially the second playthrough is the one where you really know.
Yes.
Like now that I'm not rushing, I know, not that I was rushing, but like I know how everything's going to go. Now I'm really just playing with the world, the systems, the relationships, different choices,
yes,
different gameplay. Like that's when I'll know, and maybe it will go over Inquisition. Maybe it won't. There's no way it'll go below DA2.
Yes.
No offense to DA2, but to me that is last.
Yeah.
And so it's a question of whether or not Veilguard can maybe become number 2, but I'm kind of thinking that's going to be my order: is Origins, Inquisition, Veilguard, and then 2.
I think if Veilguard had that like wrap up DLC, it could win a lot more points for me.
Could be. It could very well. It does. What's so impressive about it is that it does a lot of things better than Inquisition and just like quality of life.
Yes.
And like gameplay. Like in many ways, it is a better designed game, but Inquisition has a lot of clarity and on its like thematics and like the core thread of what's there. And just like the cohesion, if that makes sense, of its story, really ranks up there for me on Inquisition. So that's my ranking.
Can I add a question real quick? Because, we're not, it's totally not running out of time or anything.
I got time if you got time, Caitie.
Yeah. So you saw the secret ending. Tell me about it. What do you think?
Yeah, the secret ending is just the executors, right?
Uh-huh.
So I guess maybe people are making a lot about this.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of Loghain, and I was like, is that Loghain? I'm like, that is Loghain. And then like I wasn't even paying attention to the voiceover. I was like, why are they showing Loghain? And then this like, we have orchestrated, this has been our whole plan the whole time. And they show whatever else they show from 2. And I go, huh. I'm like, the ones across the sea, right? I'm like, yeah, okay. And I didn't have that much of a reaction to it, but has it caused some kerfuffle amongst people?
Oh, has it caused kerfuffle? Jordan, it's like they shot the Pope. I have a whole video on it. It's a 40-minute-ish video, so I can't rant. We don't have 40 minutes for me to talk about this. The gist of it, though, Epler was trying to he went on to Blue Sky to say well, our intent was they weren't manipulating Loghain. They just kind of fed him information that might have led to he made his own choices. They weren't mind controlling him. And I'm like, okay, I see what you mean, but does that really? I'm not a huge fan of it. Is I guess my gist of but at the same time, through data mines. We found a lot more about the executors, and there's just a lot more about them. There's this tree in the crosswords where you go up to it, you can hear Elgar'nan and Gillinan talk, and they have an interesting quote about them. And there's a lot of little nuggets throughout the game that they're just kind of there in the stillness, in the abyss. And it's that I find interesting. That I want to know more about. The secret ending does not do whatever this is justice. And so it's this weird like half and half of like, I don't like the secret ending, but I am curious what the fuck's going on with all this other bullshit that we found.
Yeah.
And if you want to see my findings on that, go see my video. Sorry to hawk my wares on another channel, but like I just can't. I don't have time to sit here for 40 minutes talking about it.
I think it's very interesting, and I honestly, personally, I may go watch the video, because when you told me that stuff about the data mining earlier, like you can even see an executor fight one, all the different stuff. I'm like, that is super, super interesting to me. I don't think it's egregious, because I didn't watch that scene like from that narrow like peephole view of it and think mind control or anything like that. What's the right analogy to use here, and to try and keep it vague? In the real world, there are certain actors on the world stage, countries perhaps, that say, yes, we wanted this to happen, we're affecting it. And when you actually look into it, even if they take credit for it, it's like, that was kind of going to happen anyway. So if that's what it is, then I don't think it's a big deal. But if there was information that says, no, they directly, called up Loghain and said, hey, can you do that? Well, then that would be kind of stupid.
It's all very vague. I don't know. They're not like the Russians or anything.
Let me tell you, I'm not going to say it. We don't need to talk about world politics. So anyway, when I saw that, I was like, I thought it was weird. And yes, I think it's better if like those antagonists had their own agency. It would be great if they could expand upon it more rather than leave it so, like, if you're going to make it that vague, maybe it would have been better to just not have it.
Yeah.
But my reaction to it when I first saw it was kind of more just like, okay, cool. Yeah, the ones across the sea. All right, interesting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, Inquisition just had the best plot hook ending with, like, Solas being the Dread Wolf the entire time. Like, that's tops. You can't, like, I don't know what Veilguard was going to do, but, like, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I agree. No, I actually agree. You cannot beat that, honestly.
Which side note, you also cannot beat Inquisition's main menu when you start new game and the building explodes. Like, I don't know what I was expecting for Veilguard. It was just like, here's the lighthouse and you're floating up into the sky. Sorry, we can't have another building explode.
Here's where we have the distinction. I'm OG, man. Like, I think that Origins menu screen is the best. I fucking miss it so much. I love the Origins. I love the music from Origins. I love the color palette.
I respect your decision, but a building blowing up Jordan. Come on
now. It's a little much. It's a little Hollywood. It's a little Hollywood.
Excuse you?
Mine is like a tapestry. It's like moving art. Thank you. It's
yeah, the game starts with that too. I'm talking about new game. When you press new game, what happens? When you press new game, it's like,
the caboose. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. No, Veilguard starts out with a little. Well, we're talking about Inquisition. Inquisition, yeah, that doesn't.
All right,
whatever.
Is there going to be another Dragon Age game, and what's it going to be?
Well, I feel like we're definitely. I got the sense that this is kind of wrapping up an arc of, I don't even know what to call it, the Evanuris, the Dreadwolf, whatever you want to call it, but like it's wrapping up an arc. I would even wonder if the next quote unquote Dragon Age game is a something age game, and it's a whole new deal. Where, like, maybe it's because it would be set about 50 years in the future when the Dragon Age time period is over, and now it's something else. And those across the sea is the real threat, and blah, 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 blah. And that's what we have to deal with, and maybe we go across the ocean. And I feel like that's probably something they're going to explore. Now, I feel like when you end a game with the Veilguard remains vigilant, unless, like, they remain, like, a whole new faction, like, most of the cast in 50 years is probably going to be dead. Even if they're young. So, maybe they're not dead, but they're at least, like, in a walker. Like, yeah, I think maybe Taash is the youngest, and they would be, like, 70s. Easy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that they're not gonna fight very much. They're not much of a dragon hunter in their 70s. Sorry. Although I would enjoy the hell out of cranky old Taash, like, being the mentor to like the new age of Veilguard or whatever. that
That'd
that
be
would
pretty funny.
that would
Yeah.
bring me joy. That would bring me joy. But at the same time, yeah, I guess that's where I'm expecting. Like, it's the executors are kind of the new what's going to happen, and like what's the poison fruit mean? Like, what's all that about? I think that's where Dragon Age is going to go. So we're in like a weird space now. This is kind of the Mass Effect 3, where like this is the end of an arc. It's the end of a series, and we don't know what's going to happen next. So it's there's a lot of hanging plot threads. Like, they could even say fuck the executors and do something else. I don't even know. Who knows?
Yeah. It's been, look, ultimately, I think it's been a satisfying end to the arc.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say this, like I don't think this has happened, but if they have eaten shit hard on sales, I don't think there's ever going to be another one. Barring that, I think there will definitely be another one, but I do think they might have to rethink their scale a little bit on what they go
Yeah.
for what a Dragon Age game is, and I think that that's totally okay with me.
Yeah, I would love smaller little games. I really would. Like,
Yeah,
if we
same.
got smaller games more frequently, I would eat that up. I would love it. Well, I just love Thedas so much. Give me anything set in Thedas, and I'm gonna be there. You know, like I love it. So I really want there to be more games. I would absolutely adore that. Is there, I like, obviously that's not that they literally just shipped. It's been less than a month. They're not thinking about the next Dragon Age right now.
No, no.
They're all on vacation, and I from what I hear, a lot of them are going on to the Mass Effect team is what the
Yeah,
rumors are.
yeah.
A lot you see on Twitter, people that are like, oh yeah, I was animation on Veilguard, now I'm on to the next Mass Effect and stuff like that. So like that's kind of what's been going on.
The best compliment, and I agree with you entirely. I'm all for smaller games. I love the world of Thedas. I would love more.
Mm-hmm.
The best compliment that I can give to any of these games is that pretty much every one of them, as far as like Bioware, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect, when I beat them, I start over immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want to play again. I had to like fight the urge to do it this time because I was like, I think I kind of want to do the whole run of games again.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that I have the urge to just play Veilguard a second time and very likely a third time and continually on from there is the best compliment I can give it. That means it absolutely has earned its place amongst all the other Dragon Age and Mass Effect games, and that is incredible news, folks.
Yes. And like it's weird because like I've definitely seen people say the opposite. And like I respect that. I'm not trying to argue with you, but like yeah, for me, like as soon as I roll credits, I'm like, all right, who's the next one? Who's my next Rook? What are we going for? Like, what's the next thing I'm doing? And like I'm in the middle of one right now, and I'm in a weird moment where I want to keep playing, but I also need to I have things I want to yell about online, so I gotta make videos, and like I'm also doing this data mining project, and so like it's this, I'm like I have 3 plates spinning. They're all Veilguard related. It's always on my mind now. So it's yeah, I have a lot to chew on regarding Veilguard for the next couple years. So it like I know which yeah, we are now finally switching where we were on like my territory of like Dragon Age is coming up, and like it was all about me being focused on the news, and like Jordan, this is me officially passing the torch onto you, Mr. Mass Effect. I don't know what the hell's going to happen with Mass Effect or like what the story is. I don't know the lore. This is all you, buddy, my friend. Welcome. We are officially in the waiting times for Mass Effect 5.
Hopefully, I keep playing video games.
Dude, if the show ends because you just stop playing video games, it's going to be sad.
No, I'll keep playing. I mean, Caitie, I have virtually stopped playing video games. Like,
I know.
I'd probably keep playing just for this.
Wow.
I think a large part. I kind of started dabbling with Baldur's Gate 3 right before this game came out,
Mm-hmm.
but like in the middle of this year, I went. It had been like 7.5 months without playing any video game whatsoever, like 0 minutes. And I was like, oh shit, I guess I'm going to have to play a video game in order to play Veilguard. And so that's fine. I play infrequently now, but I would probably keep playing Bioware games. But how long Mass Effect takes to come out is a whole. I'm putting it. If we've learned anything from from our past adventures, rather than guess 3, 4, 5 years, I'm just going to put it at 7 years. I'm just going to just round up.
Oh boy, that makes me sad because then Dragon Age is after that, and that's even longer. So like, I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. And like we already have recordings of me saying, "Oh yeah, what if like Dragon Age 4 comes out in 2020? That would be so long from now." And then I just cry about it. And so I'm going to say Mass Effect 5 in 27.
In 27. Wow, I really hope for that. But yeah, I mean, probably not 7. I'm saying it's not coming out in the 2020s. It's going to be 2030.
Oh my god.
They're not starting full development until now.
My kid's going to be in middle school. That's going to be so weird.
Yeah. Basically a new engine, right? They're going back to Unreal.
Yes. That's what they said. They're going to Unreal.
That's going to be a lot. I'm putting that at 6 years or 5-ish. So it's like maybe the early part of 2030.
Okay. That hurts me, but like I understand where you're coming from. I want you to be wrong, but you're probably right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, did you have something else?
No, this is it. I mean, we went over 2.5 hours to do this.
Yeah.
It only took us 6-ish years of saying what Dragon Age 4 was going to be like, but it finally came out.
Here we are. It's a little weird, isn't it?
I said for a long time, eventually it will just be a video game and I'll just sit down and play it. And I'm so happy that that's just what it is now. For better or worse, love it, don't like it, whatever. Like now it's just a video game and we can talk about it for real.
I'll be really excited when like everyone's kind of moved on to something else, and so that the people talking about it are just ones that like genuinely have joy about playing with it. And like if it didn't click with you, that is fine. I don't need it to, but like it did click with me, and I just want to discuss it with people it did click with. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like it's in like I feel like that's when like conversation gets more productive, where we can talk about like, okay, yeah, this did not work, but let's talk about what did. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah. I'm also be really excited when everyone like, I don't want to say forget, but just like we move on from the whole council thing, because like there's people are getting weird with it, dude. Paid Bioware shill. Girl, I wish they paid me to shill. Jesus. No, unfortunately I just have Dragon Age brainworms. Like I'm just doing it for free, and that's more embarrassing actually. That is more embarrassing. Yeah.
You said something in your review which I thought was very poignant, and I quite liked it. You said that it's you can't stop thinking about it again, right? Like it's keeping you up at night kind of a thing. I feel like I've fallen back in love with this franchise, spurred by this game, but like also dipping back into the old novels, playing Origins again. I'm kind of in a different camp than what you said earlier. I'm like, holy crap, I still love Origins so much. It's like such a great feeling. I don't think that game ever gets old. I'm playing vanilla Origins. No. You take your noises back. It is phenomenal. I actually think this is how I prefer to play it.
You can't see my face of disgust right now.
I mean, I have the 4 gig patch. That's it, because it won't run without that.
Well, of course.
There's not a single mod on the game. And you know what? I think it's great. I think it's aged fine for a game that's 15 years. There are 15-year-old games that have aged worse.
I guess I don't know that. I can't contend with that. But at the same time, like, yet not even no helmets. You're raw dogging those armors. Like,
Wynn has a stupid hat on right now. Okay, she has the stupidest hat ever.
Yeah,
because it helps her stats.
And you just live with that like a heathen. Like you have.
It's great. It's Jordan, great. I love it.
I'm holding your hand as I say that things can be better. It's okay.
I think I want to replay the entire, and I'm going to do the whole thing. Dragon Age 2 no mods, Inquisition no mods, because that's the only way to truly like reassess the series, in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's what I want to do. And I got to tell you, Origins holds up phenomenally well with no mods.
I don't even know what I was going to say. I respect that, but I kind of don't.
Caitie, I played 5 hours without the 4 gigabyte patch before I had a crash. I was under the impression the game wouldn't even boot without the 4 gigabyte patch.
Oh no, it boots. It's mostly when you have a lot of mods, you need it. You definitely need it, because it's a memory leak thing. But like, yeah, no, it like I just there's not even skip the fade. Not even skip the fade.
You know what? Oh. I have been skipping the fade free. I didn't even fucking remember what the fade was like. And you want to know something, Caitie?
Uh-huh.
The fade fucking sucks, man. Like that is the one mod I had. I was in that fucking
you had the mod. If only there was a way.
I was in the Fade going, God damn it, if one thing's gonna break me, it's this fucking Fade. Dude, the Fade sucks. Okay, hold up real quick. The joke that they made in Veilguard.
Huh? Oh, right. They did reference that. I forgot.
He's like, what am I gonna do? Turn into a mouse?
You're like, actually, yeah.
It was fantastic. It was all right. Look, we're almost getting to 3 hours here. I don't have anything left until next time. Anything else you got, Caitie?
That's what I got.
Okay.
No, it's like what my dad said at the very beginning. I said this episode. It's like when you get married, and at the end of it, it's like you kind of like, oh, this is just my life now. Like, oh, I can just play Veilguard on my computer now, and this is like a thing I can just do, and it's very weird. The thing you've been waiting for so long is just sitting on my hard drive, and not everyone's hard drive if they wish. And that's I don't know. I'm happy with it. I'm having a great time. The end. If you want to hear me scream about Veilguard for the next 10 years, probably Ghildirthalen on YouTube. Twitter's a sinking ship, but I'm on Blue Sky if you want to go there now. That's about it. Where they can find you, Jordan?
They can find me on this podcast, and that's literally it.
Yeah. That's about it. Well, until next time, I'm sure like we'll have an episode soon enough. Maybe we like sit and digest a bit. We'll try to think of something to do stuff with. But like with the holidays coming up, it might be a minute.
We made it, folks.
Yeah, Daresh Shiral. Welcome, Veilguard. Dragon Age 4 is here. The times, the world's ended. Wait.
Okay, we're still recording.
I know.
This has got to go at the end now because you already said the rest are all. It's got to be a tag.
Well, I'm going to let you cut it if you don't like it.
Okay.
Did you want to do the Titanic bit?
I don't. Okay. It feels like a waste. It feels a little mad because I think there was a part of me that was frustrated with like the reaction, and so there was a bit of it was leaning in on that. But I can do it, and then we'll just cut it if I don't like it.
It's whatever you want to do.
Well, you're just gonna have to sit through it now since you brought it up. You're gonna have to be the judge.
That's fine. Okay.
I almost started reading.
Well, now you just gotta read it like you can't act it. He's like, and thus was the Titanic.
I don't know why I did this. I wrote like a 1 paragraph, like, this is what this is.
Uh-huh.
I wrote continuing the ridiculous bit about Dragon Age / Bioware being like the Titanic, and I almost started reading that in the voice. Okay, I'm sorry.
I should say, like, if this is cut, like, I just want to explain, like, he's always, like, bullshitted these off the seat of his pants. This is the first time you've actually pre-written one, or, like, kind of pre-written one. Correct.
Every single one has been off the top of the head, and for some reason, I thought of it as I was in the office of all places, like, right before the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, let me just write this down on my phone before I forget it, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now who knows if it's good or not. But anyway, here we go. Okay. Now on the continuing voyages of the Titanic, it is absolutely pandemonium. An unspeakable calamity has fallen over us all. It's our nightmare come to life. Everyone is dying, and it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to us. Wait. This just in. On the other side of the boat, the opposite of the calamity, it's the greatest thing that anyone could have possibly imagined. There is one great big party going on. Everyone on this side of the boat is laughing at those who are suffering on the other side of the boat. There's free ice cream sundaes, designer drugs, hot bitches, and sexy daddies. Honestly, I am really fucking confused. I feel like I am having an acid trip right now. Half of the boat believes that we have gone straight to fucking hell, and the other half appears to be having a 24/7 nonstop orgasm all the time. Oh my, look at this. The part of the boat that is having a good time has decided to throw the other sad people off of the boat. And some of them, yes, it appears some of them are shouting. They're shouting as they throw the unhappy people overboard. And they appear to be shouting, quote, "Fuck you guys, we never liked you anyway. You like tactics and aren't horny enough." Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I was on that side of the boat. I threw off somebody else saying I said that exact same thing. Oh my god.
It's a little long. As I was doing it, I'm like, I could have made it shorter, but there you go. There you have
Drugs was a really good bit. That was my problem. I think you should keep it. I think you should keep it.
The first couple days, that's really what it felt like. It's like some people were just like, this is the greatest thing ever because they were just excited that the game came out. And then other people were like, this is the end of Dragon Age and we're all dying.
And I feel like people are like meeting in the middle now. And like, this is exactly what happened with Inquisition. So I'm really curious, like 2 years from now, what's the mood? Because that's going to be what Veilguard actually is.
People are going to like it. I'm so sure that once the hate dies down and the people who are just peddling anger go away, people are just going to be like, yeah, it's a pretty damn good game, actually.
And I feel like the people that are disappointed, like, please, like, keep being disappointed. I'm not trying to like sway you, but like, I feel like people are going to start seeing like what the good that's there, and that's what they focus on. So I don't know. To each their own.
All right. That's all we got.
All right.
This is probably going to go at the end.
All right. Bye.